Hey, welcome back, everybody, to this week's installment of the JR the Handler Show with me, JR the Handler. Boy, do I have a treat for you guys and gals out in podcast land today. Not only do I have one fine tour manager on here today, I have two very fine tour managers on the podcast today, and they happen to be brothers. And I am surprised myself because I didn't know they were both going to be on at the same time. So I am tickled to death. I'm not going to waste any more time. I'll do a quick intro, and then we'll get into rapping with these guys. I've got on the podcast with me today none other than two of my best new buddies on the road over the past probably 5-6 years. First one, he's coming in like a hurricane because an ice cold beer never broke his heart. Tour manager for Luke Combs, Mr. Ethan Strunk. Excuse me there. I'm tongue tied because I got two of them. I'm so happy I can't control my enjoyment here. And the other one is a newer member of the tour manager family. Surprised to me he's on this podcast today looking handsome as ever, but he is the tour manager for none other than Texas's own new country music sensation on the biggest level, Mr. Kojo himself, Troy Strunk in the house. I've got the Strunk brothers coming at me today live and in person. How are you, boys?
We're good, man. Doing good.
Good.
Hot day in Missouri, so it's a good day to do it for us.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask. So I saw Ethan this past weekend. We played near St. Louis. You came to the show. We got to catch up a little bit. That was great. Didn't know your brother was going to be home too. So you guys are both in Missouri now. I see the deer and the turkey behind you, so you know you're at home when you've got your proper stuff like that behind you. How did y'all both end up off the road and at home at the same time? Are y'all both still live in Missouri?
Yeah, we're in my house right now, and Troy stays next door, so it was convenient for him to just ride on over. I was going to come pick him up in the Bobcat, but he got his own transportation. So
Listen to that, JR Bobcat.
I know. I mean, I've been endorsed with him 5 years. I finally get one. Peckerhead here just shows up on one.
Right, Facebook Marketplace.
Hey, that's awesome. Well, mine might be up for grab soon, Troy. So if you want a matching one to your brothers, I got one for you, buddy.
He's got a diesel too. I think he'd give you a sweet deal on it.
I would for sure, absolutely. I'd even sign the door panel for you before I send it to Missouri.
That might make it worth less.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't want to devalue it any. It's got a Blue Otter polarized for both you guys. It's got a Blue Otter polarized sticker already on the back dump bed, so you already got that going for you. It's already brand centric to your artist.
He said he's about going to trade it for a golf cart.
Yeah, I was going to say golf cart living is where it's at, where you're at, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, this works great out on the farm and stuff, but I just haven't taken it out there. When I'm out there, we're on the tractor or the lawnmower, it's like I don't really get to use it, and it's so big, as you know, your brother's got one. I mean, you basically need a car hauler to get it around. So
it's like not driving a truck through the woods. Like your side-by-side trails have to be so wide,
huge
to get it through there.
Yeah, you're not following a four-wheeler around on this thing. I mean,
not a chance.
No, but they will go anywhere.
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten it stuck yet. Fingers crossed.
I was always kind of like, I thought side-by-sides were a little much. I thought it was overpriced, it was just too much. I thought, well, if you're going to do that, why don't you just get an old Jeep or an old Suzuki truck or something, four-wheel drive for half the price? Because I grew up on, probably like you guys did, grew up on three-wheelers and four-wheelers, and that got you everywhere you needed to go until I got on a side-by-side in some real rough terrain. I was out there with Justin in the bottoms of Arkansas Delta, and, man, we're crawling through stuff that I would have never gotten any big four-wheeler through, I mean, and then I was with a friend of his on some duck land, and it was just swamp bottom. I mean, yeah, no way I'd have been stuck on a four-wheeler. I'd have been walking through snake water, and this thing just right on through it. And I said, well, okay, now I get it. Now, I mean, this is more than just, a dune buggy with wheels, they're made for that stuff,
Yeah, they got heat and AC now and everything. They're basically like cars.
And go 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, and they're taking them 20,000 miles, and like they got their odometers racked up like their car.
Wow, that's insane. Well, man, I'm glad you guys could come on the podcast today. I've been wanting to talk to both you guys since I started this. I know we don't get to hang out as much as we'd like to. Troy and I've got to hang out a good bit over the last couple years because we've done a lot of shows. Justin and Kojo have done a lot of shows together. So we got to hang out a lot. That was cool. Jackson was always there interrupting our good times. Always had to deal with his nonsense when we were trying to enjoy the day.
Right.
But besides that, it was good. Great music every night. That never gets old. But
yeah, that's my dream tour with those two guys together. Those are my two favorites.
Right. Well, and that's what I wanted to say too. You guys, and most people are fans, but you guys legit country fans growing up. You guys are a little younger than me, legit country fans. So a lot of these guys that I came up with were the guys you were listening to in high school and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely.
I know the other night when you came to the show, we had Joe Nichols playing with us, which I'm a huge Joe fan, obviously, because when I moved to town, I moved there in like 02, 03, and that's when Broken Heartsville was just on, and like we talked about the other night, it's just a perfect song. Broken Heartsville is the perfect country song, basically.
It's so good, and She Only Smokes When She Drinks was on the same album. I think The Impossible was on. I think that was the Impossible album, if I'm not mistaken.
And Impossible was the first single off there, I think.
Yeah, that was his first single to radio.
Yeah.
God, he's still a great singer too.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's it kills me. And he's just getting better. And he still puts out. And this is what gets me sometimes. I'm not one. Y'all know me. I love all types of music. I'm pulling for all the artists on their way up, but not. I feel like the gatekeepers should give a slot to some of these guys, like Joe Nichols, like a Tracy Lawrence. I mean, hell, anybody who was a big hit maker that still puts out quality records. I get it if the music falls off and it's not up to par with what radio could play now. But if you listen to Joe Nichols' last couple records or the stuff that Tracy's put out recently, I'm just using those because I've listened to them a lot lately. I'm sure there's a bunch in that same group. But they just can't crack the damn charts and get any love on country radio, and it's just as good as their stuff that got them all these number one hits, And I'm like, well, there's room on radio to play these if we're going to play all the new stuff. I like the new stuff too, but
yeah, if you're going to play like traditional guys, new guys like Zach Top, like why can't you play Joe Nichols, who's had several number ones,
Yeah, well, and like I said, if one thing I get, if the music falls off, the songs aren't as good, they're going a different direction, things like that. But man, if you go listen to their last couple records, they are just as good as anything they've ever put out.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't get why we can't give them a slot on there because it just gives that exposure you need to help move things along and get it in more people's ears. And because a lot of people, oh yeah, I wonder what's up with Joe. And I'm like, shit, go listen to his last record. It's gold. ain't nothing changed with Joe.
That's what's nice about the streaming thing is people can kind of go find their own thing and listen to whatever they want to. Radio. I feel like radio's just kind of lost a lot of control of that, which for better or worse, I don't have an opinion on it, but it's just
I'm the same way. Yeah. Yeah, well, Jason Isbell had a good quote on it years ago. I always thought was good. He said, "Nashville has a lot of hamburger joints too. That doesn't mean you have to eat at McDonald's. You know what I mean?"
Yeah, that's for sure.
You can go find your own stuff.
People our age, like it's out here where we live, there people still listen to the radio, but most people our age don't even listen to the radio anymore. It's all just streaming services. Spotify, Apple Music. I'm still on iTunes, so I'm still buying them. Trying to support the songwriter buddies, but
yep.
I don't know if it helps or not, but in my head it does.
I do the same thing. I try to wear shirts and represent. I buy the stuff when I can. I'll order stuff off people's website just to try to help when you can, if I really like it, But yeah, for like you said, for better or worse, because there's nothing any of us are going to be able to do about it. It's just it's evolution. It's just part of it.
And of course, we all have friends in radio because we've met them over the last decade or whatever we've been working on the road. So a lot of those guys are your friends and text them and they're still doing good. So it's always good to hear. But the labels that's what gets ours, at least, is getting decimated by, you just lose, it seems like, a few people every year that you really loved and got close to, and then they just don't have the position for them anymore because radio is not a big priority.
Yep. And then the teams get smaller and they overlap and have to double up on territories and regions and things. And yep. And like you said, you've made those relationships over the year, and everybody's just trying to do their job. And it's just a transition thing, I hope, because I'm like you. Sometimes I listen to radio. I usually listen to podcasts and just whatever I've downloaded or some station on iTunes that I created off a song I liked or something like that. But rural America, there's a lot of people who still do. but it's definitely waned a whole lot, and it's getting less and less every year. And you wonder who was taking these spots, and what is the new position that's created in the void of that for, say, so there's now you need more people working for the streaming companies, but does a 25-year-old vet in radio world transition over into that spot very well? Probably not. It's probably a techie type job that specific training needed to be done and to learn how to do the algorithms and figure that thing out. So it's like, then you put a new person that doesn't know the history and the way the country music world works. So there's some disconnect there. I hope we can avoid if possible.
Yeah, we have several like locally owned stations here. So they just play whatever the hell they want. You might hear
That's the
some
best.
Justin Moore album cut from 10 years ago, you know.
Right.
You never know what they're going to play, or they're going to play some new, five new artists in a row that you've never heard before. So it's almost like those are the stations that are like that act like a streaming service, because
Pretty
they're not
much.
just playing the top 40
Right.
all day on a loop.
Right.
Shoot, I remember when we were growing up, Dad taught us how to request a song. We'd call in and request a song and try to like record it on a cassette tape. And it's like, we did all that work and spent all that time. And it's like, I don't even know where those cassettes are. And then we were burning CDs for a while.
Oh yeah.
I remember you'd go on YouTube and do like convert them to MP3s and burn the CDs from the YouTube videos so you didn't have to pay for them.
Yeah, dude.
I
When I
remember
was
we
ahead,
would
Troy.
call on the way to school to request a song, and then you would hope that they played it like before you got to school because you weren't going to listen to the radio at school. So
right. Then you're getting
like
out
a
of the
buzzer
car, and
beater.
the song
Yeah.
kicks off when you're getting out of the car. You're like, no, I don't want to go in.
Right. Yeah. Give me 3 minutes.
I think that's a good point on the smaller radio station, because that's the ones I dial into, and I usually know them from certain areas. Used to when we were ripping the roads in the southeast full time when I first started, we drove a lot at night in the van, town to town, and you'd catch these all-night radio stations in between towns, North Alabama, East Louisiana, East Texas, Southern Arkansas, and you could get through there and you knew there was one you'd pick up, and it might be just like a Woo, boys, I got a good storm at my house right now. That lightning felt like it was about to come in my window. It's raining down here in South Alabama today. But I would, you would know to dial in. It would be like WSM type channels. It would kind of variety. You don't know what time. It's kind of like NPR still now. You have the Sunday afternoon jazz hour or the big band, section there. And those were great. And now I still find myself trying to find those. I know, like when I go to Louisiana, we have the Gumbo, which is mostly classic country, but they'll throw in some more recent stuff if it fits. But it could be swamp pop. It could be just some random, live recording. It's like you said, and that's kind of what old or back when I was a kid still was around some. You had radio stations with disc jockeys that played stuff they thought their audience wanted to hear. It was like a real
100%.
DJ, not just a programmed algorithm, play the top 15, 18 songs, a couple of new ones, and some
Corporate
reoccurring.
guys telling the
Yeah.
DJ, they don't even get to pick. They're just filling in the time between songs, and that's it.
Well, they all got decimated too. Like you said, it went from all these channels. Well, when they all got bought up, the country, rock, jazz, R&B channel all got owned by the same company. Well, then they slashed. Well, then the only person that's left is the person that used to run the R&B department. Now they're in charge of the other four. They don't really even know about the other job, but they have to do their job. It's not their fault they got thrown into it, and it's better, so but a lot of those channels still feel like that because they'll play whatever. I know there's one in Montgomery. What's it called? There's certain ones in certain towns. I know Justin's got one in Arkansas. That's what he says. I still listen to the same 102.5, whatever it is, the same country channel I've been listening to since I was in the truck with my dad trying to request songs going to school. Probably the same thing with him.
100%. That's how we are. Me and Troy made friends with the DJ here. I mean, because we called to request songs when we were younger, and then we just stayed in touch with him through Facebook. So we talked to him every once in a while,
That's
used to see him
amazing.
at the county fair.
Oh yeah, we'd go up. We got to go say hi to Mike. Mike Thomas is his name, but
Love it. Shout out Mike
Yeah.
Thomas.
yeah, Mikey T 99.9 KFAV baby. That's our home station.
It created some legends. He didn't even know he was doing it at the time, but created some
It's true.
legends.
It's truer than you think, really, because I mean that's why
100%.
we all got. I love the JR the handler story that RJ from our tour tells, where you were, I think, shirtless backstage with a bottle of whiskey, saying, "It's country music, RJ. It's why we all have jobs."
That
think
doesn't
you
sound
maybe
like him.
listen to some Hank Jr. or something back in the drinking days, of
Yeah.
course.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That sounds totally right on par with some of my, and I still feel that way 100%. And that's because that's why I got into it just like you guys. I don't play or sing or nothing. I was just passionate about it. I love music and love entertainment, love country music, love Southern rock. And
Oh yeah, people always ask like, "Oh, can you play guitar?" And you'd think being around, I can't play anything. I could tune the guitar, but I couldn't play you a song if my life depended on it. You'd have to kill me.
yeah, same here.
It'd
Yeah,
be
I learned to tune. The only reason I learned to tune a guitar was because when I was with John Party early on, we were too broke to have any help, so I had to.
Because you had to.
Just had to.
Same thing. I did that with 2 different tours, including Luke early on.
Yeah. What about you, Troy?
Yeah, you'd
I'm
have
sure
to
Troy
sell-
plays a mean bass, doesn't he?
I never had to play anything because I got with one guy and we were in arenas and everything.
Yeah, you.
Right on the bus on the arena tour. He did it.
Yeah, you talk about hitting the jackpot. We'll get to that at some point. Troy goes from listening to the Justin Moore podcast, right, driving a lawnmower for a living, to own the artist bus with Kojo 9 months later. And next thing I know, he's my boss on tour. And I'm like, wait a minute, how did this happen?
I wouldn't say boss. I would say
Hey, you're
learning from you, maybe.
well, when it comes to running those tours, and you weren't there when Cody was out with us, but we were lucky enough to go out with you guys when you were there. You're the boss. I mean, the Kojo's the boss, the head of the whole tour. Whoever's name's on the marquee or whoever's ass is on the line, that's who's the boss, because it don't matter. They're never going to say, well, that Ethan guy or that Troy guy or that JR guy. They're going to say Cody's guy, Luke's guy, Justin's guy. It all goes back to the artist. So
100%.
that's why
that guy who worked for Luke Combs.
Yep,
Was
and as
mean
cool
to
as
me.
I think I am, nobody knows who I am. They all gonna say it's JM's guy, and that's why they make good money, because they got everything's on their ass. It's one night goes wrong, their whole thing's over, whereas everybody else can go find a job. So I say boss, but then when it comes under that, when you're running the tour, it's kind of your personality. You kind of can vibe it out because you're the liaison between management, what they're trying to get accomplished, label, the other acts, your artist, obviously, and your team creatively, whatever's trying to get accomplished. And then the nuts and bolts of actually making production-wise of how a show has to happen every day happen. So technically, you're the boss. Don't give yourself credit there, T-Roy. You're the boss over.
Yeah.
Jackson's definitely not the boss. I'm telling you that right now.
We know that, yeah.
Oh,
Jackson's good now. He got us some Cardinals tickets last week.
okay.
So he's in our good
off.
graces
He's
right
off your
now.
poo list. Yeah, no, I love Jackson. I just love busting him up because we have the whole, the Texas boys guys. They think they're cool now. I tell you, and they are. And I love Texas, but I have to remind them from time to time. I'm from Alabama, so was Colonel Travis, who was at the Alamo. So we'd probably all be speaking Spanish a little more fluently if it wasn't for some boys from Alabama and Tennessee. So y'all lighten up on us there, and
Bring them back down to earth.
a
They
little
need
bit.
that.
I'm like, hey, now y'all remember a little thing called the Alamo? But anyway, no, I picked. But and you guys are lucky in that respect too. And I have been all these years. We work with some really great people. I mean, from artists down to crew members and band members. I mean, really just work with some good people. Even we bust them up a little bit, but still just solid people. You mentioned RJ Estrella earlier, one of my boys. Jerry Sloan's on that team, just great. And then, with Kojo and his band, I mean, Jody, one of my best buddies. I mean, just great people in both outfits, just all the way around. You guys both hit the jackpot. But T-Roy didn't have to kick the can down the road as long as we did before he got picked up on the bus.
No, yeah. He wasn't at the museum club in Flagstaff a couple times,
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like,
no van for me.
yeah, I was like, boys, in 03, I was knife fighting a dude for $500 in bumfuck Alabama so I know the real deal, But hey, it was just I would never knock anyone who got that. That's what I said. If I knew you could go to school, I wouldn't have pissed away money for 4 years to try to learn something I didn't want to know just to quit at the end and go on the road. I would have went to school to learn how to be on the road, but I didn't. Being from eclectic Alabama, I didn't know that was an option.
No, me neither. I didn't know it was a job until I was at that Justin Moore show and Sangamon County, Illinois, and saw Joey out there running around during a rain delay. I was like, what does that guy do? And I think I was talking to Corey, your old guitar player. He's like, oh, that's our tour manager. And I was like, I could do that.
Really? Tell us.
Around in the
No
rain.
business thinking I could do
Well,
that.
that's a good place to jump off into those stories. Tell us that. Where was your first inkling of wanting to think you want to do this for a living? Because like you said, you boys didn't grow up playing. Y'all both love music, obviously, like I did. But how did it start getting in your head? You think maybe I should try to do this for a living? And what age
Yeah,
was that?
I was probably 20, and I was working for, there's a city called Troy, actually, like Troy, there's Troy, Alabama
Yeah,
too.
that's where I went to
But Troy,
college.
Missouri's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 15 minutes from here, and I worked for the city, so we were like pouring concrete, laying asphalt, plowing snow in the winter, and it was just one of those jobs where, like, no disrespect to somebody who does that, but it just wasn't going to be a forever job for me. It didn't pay very much,
Hmm.
decent benefits, but I was just miserable there. I had friends there and we had a lot of fun, but I just knew like life was more than that for me.
Right.
And I loved live music, and I went to a ton of Justin shows. He's, like I said, he was my favorite. So we went to that one in Illinois, and there was a rain delay, and we had a meet and greet or something, and somehow we just ended up back in the tent, like, because it was raining. We weren't going to go back out front, so we just blended in with the crowd. And I think Corey was back there, and we started talking to him. And like I said, Joey was running around with his radio on. He always wore like a fancy button-up shirt. Joey Gonzalez, who used to be Justin's TM.
Yeah, button down one button,
and
too inappropriate. A little lapel in his,
Oh
a
yeah,
little
definitely.
lapel in his, or a little hanky in his pocket there, a pocket square. Looked like
He was
he could be a
definitely
tour
better dressed
manager
than
or he could be the captain of the Love Boat. Just depends on what day it is.
100%, like a CIA operative.
Yeah,
Had like
I thought he was. I thought he
earpiece
was
in,
before I met him. I've been interrupt, but I got to put this. Before I knew Joey, I'd only met him once at like a pre-tour meeting when I was John Party's tour manager. Met him once, very stern, very this. Seen him out on a few shows before when the tour kicked off. I'm thinking he's like a California, like state trooper, like ex-state trooper from California or something. He seems so serious and so just like hard ass. And then I get to know him and realize he is a complete knucklehead. Love him to death and no knock on him, but he is just a sweetheart of a person, does not have a mean bone in his body, knows the least amount of Spanish for a Hispanic person I've ever met. Just is totally not a California state trooper and all that stuff. He's a sports guy anyway, but he had me duped too for the whole deal there. The CIA
for
operative,
sure, yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, he always wore the earpiece deal.
Or the earpiece.
He used to make. I used to
he
wear
was-
one too because I wanted to be like Joey. Now I
He
do
was
the Brent
Secret
Long. I
Service.
just carry just a paddle around. That's it. No, just biscuit. No
Just
biscuit.
down on the hip so
Yeah.
you can't hear anything anyway. if they
Ever
do call
or
you.
just sit it on my desk and walk away.
Call me on the phone. That's what I tell him.
Text me, boys. I find Nathan or text me if it's an emergency.
I had my radio the other day, and we're playing festivals now, so you gotta. I'll get back to the story.
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
minute,
yeah.
But we're playing festivals now, and we were packing up cases at the end of the night, and I don't know if I had friends there or something, but I forgot to put my radio in the case. And so I had it like in my bag for the next week, and I was carrying it around. I just bring like a backpack on the road because we just do one show and back home, so you don't need that much stuff.
Right.
And I had it the next day, and I told RJ, I got to get rid of this thing, man. I'm carrying it around everywhere. Just put it back in the case. I haven't seen it since.
That's funny.
If they need me, they can call me.
Yeah, exactly. Just text me. I'll be in soon. I'm not
Right.
hard to find. I'm going to be in one of two places. I'll be in the trailer having a production meeting. I might be playing a little 2K, or I'll be in catering. Basically,
Oh, that's what I miss about the buses is playing the Xbox, man. We played a lot of 2K, a lot of Madden,
yeah.
a lot of FIFA.
That's
That was
that's
so
really
fun.
the only place I get it in because at home I'm too busy. But on the road,
No, we never played it. I mean, I don't even have a console here.
I've
We
got a
just only
PlayStation
would-
4 at home, but Justin got the 5 for the bus because he's got kids, and I was like, yeah, we got to get one. We got the kid, yeah, we got to get some 5. We can play,
Yeah, it's for the kids.
for the
Yeah,
kids.
are good. They
Yeah,
probably
we can
never
play
touched it.
DVDs through it too if we need to. We don't have to buy an extra DVD player. I'm totally justifying us getting it.
DVD.
Yeah,
You're
we probably
buying
should
them
go ahead and
for the
get 4
controller.
controllers too. Yeah, get the good controllers. We might as well get them. Kids are going to complain if we don't.
Yeah, you have a bunch of kids, Justin, so we should just get a pile of.
Yeah, we should get the 5 brand new extra super pro model. Let's just do it. Go ahead and we were building a bus at the time too, and we had one just kind of laying up on the thing, and we were about to build a new bus, and so we got it to where it's all built in there and everything now. It's perfect. It's awesome.
Oh, that's the best.
But I get to play it, I'll just get in 20, 30 minutes here or there. If I know something down, it's hot outside, I'm like, all right, I'm sitting here. Because I can't take naps. I've tried. Naps just make me tireder usually during the day.
Yeah, or make me not sleep at night
Uh,
once it's time to go to bed.
Exactly.
Then you're, like wide awake because you've napped for an hour.
Right. So I'll kick my shoes off and let my feet rest for a second. I'll just get up and play a little 2K for a minute. So I'm either production office, back of the trailer, chilling, 2K or catering. I mean, so if it ain't that hard to find.
Yeah,
and I'm always on campus. I don't go do things. I'm too. I know some go off and go golf and do different things. I'm nervous.
So many people ask when you go golfing with them at home, like, do you golf on the road much? It's like, dude, do you golf when you're at work?
Exactly.
At your job? Like,
Somebody's got to work.
It's,
that's what I always say. Yeah.
And I probably
We're working.
and if you did, and if I could, and then there's probably times I could, you'd just be worried to death the whole time something's wrong back on
That's how I
campus.
feel,
It
too.
defeats the entire purpose.
Yeah, or somebody starts texting you, and you're still trying to, let me tell this person this. The runner will be there in 5 minutes, and you're like, so yeah.
There's no way you'd get to enjoy golf. That's what I always say, or anything else for that matter.
Anything. The best I'll ever get is if there's a pond right by where the buses are, and we can go throw a line in for a minute or something, or used to some basketball, and I'm afraid to hurt myself, but minimum something. The closer it is, it's kind of like me doing things when I'm off the road. The closer it is to my house, the better chance you have of me showing up.
100%. We on Aldean's tour, they used to play slow pitch on Fridays, and that was fun. And when you're an opener on a tour like that, there ain't that much to do in our role.
Exactly.
So you don't have to worry. Nobody ever really bothered you, and if your phone was on the bench, you could handle it in between innings or whatever while you're waiting to go up to bat. But that was really fun. And we used to play a lot of basketball in the arenas too.
We did too back in the day.
We'd have it lined out. We'd have a group text and tell everybody, bring your shoes this weekend. We're going to play at Louisville or whatever, because the court was like right next to the production office. And you'd get some good games in. Everybody be all sweaty at like 3 p.m.
Yes, that was fun back in the day. Yeah, we did that even when I was with John, when we went on tour with Justin. That's how Justin and I first met, was on the basketball court. We were at some college, and we were playing Illinois, and we were at their arena, the practice gym next door, because they're usually like a big arena, and then the practice gym's next door or something. And it was team party versus team Moore, and I didn't have much help on my team, and Justin could play, and Corey, the old piano player, could play, and everybody else would hustle. So I'm the point guard, which I'm not, so I just come down and lace one up from top of the key, and Moore's like, all right. Then I saw him go at it. Next thing we know, like, oh, game respect game, baby, And then we were boys ever since. And we played a lot, even with RJ. RJ can play. He used to get out and play with us back in the day. We were
he is good.
Brantley tours and stuff. But that was about the time we started aging out of trying to play on the road. Justin got a loose tooth. I hurt my knee. Well, an ankle here. It's like, all right, guys, we can't get injured out here doing this. But we would do it. Y'all work with Brad Garrett and Brad Denise Garrett on Police Productions. They would set up sometimes for us to do like an indoor, a wiffle ball days and some of that. And that was, and going back to that, like you mentioned, that's a lot easier when we were out opening for Miranda Lambert or Brad Paisley to do stuff during the day, because I wouldn't. Now when we do anything, because even when we were headlining with Brad and Denise, they would set something I couldn't play. I had other things to do, But it's good to get to do that stuff when you can. But it's just hard because, you're really not going to be able to relax if you're the headlining tour manager. Even if things are going smooth, as soon as you try something else, things won't be smooth anymore.
Yeah, especially when like RJ's in there playing hoops and Andrew on our tour who does hot. So it's like the whole production office except for poor Jerry.
Yeah.
Sitting in production having to field all the questions while we're in there.
Everybody's goofing off.
Missing brick and jump shots.
He's too old to play, so that's his fault.
He's in there listening
Jerry
to Vern.
can shoot, though. Jerry's got a good jumper.
Jerry, I'm going to grow up and be Jerry. I'm him. I used to could play. Now I'm just going to hang out and listen to Vern Gostin songs while everybody else
Jerry's
is
probably listening to like Slayer and Metallica and all that stuff. That's what he likes.
Oh yeah. He's got some good history though. He knows his stuff. He's got some good knowledge on back country music history. He's been around for a minute. But
Speaking of,
go ahead.
We just mentioned the wiffle ball and the police guys. We did a festival in Utah before Troy worked with Cody, but Jackson was playing and he rounded third and came up lame with a hamstring injury, and I don't think they've played since.
Pulled a hammy.
Yeah,
That
he
was
retired. That was it. Yeah, because I think he was the chief organizer of their wiffle ball league. So
and then he got embarrassed, so now none of us can play anymore.
Yeah, this game is stupid. Right. Nobody's playing anymore. This game's stupid. I don't know why we did this. Yeah, I'm like a brisk walk, maybe a swim possibly. I still love like what I call working out is basically going steam and sauna and kind of basically a spa day at the gym. That's kind of
You
my
could
work.
be a pickleball guy. I feel like you got the figure for it.
But these knees, man, these old basketball ankles and knees, playing all that basketball. I played a lot of basketball growing up and on into college and intramurals and stuff. And even I was playing men's league when I lived in Nashville 10 years ago, still regularly and stuff. But 45 now, and it really came quick. The halted up. I thought I'd still be rocking by now, but one little injury, then you're worried about missing shows or can't work. Then you start thinking
Right,
about
you're
that.
out there in a wheelchair wheeling around because of a pickleball injury.
Exactly.
It's
Several
hard to
years
think of
ago, I
anything.
did that. I was riding my bicycle, even just trying to get a little exercise. Dave supposed to fly out. We were in Louisiana, at our house in Louisiana, and I was supposed to drive to New Orleans that afternoon to get on a flight. And was just riding my bicycle. Went to pull over in the church parking lot and put my foot down wrong. Broke my ankle. A bad break. So missed that weekend shows with like the first shows I'd ever missed with Justin. Ever so many years in, and then a week or two later, I was back on the road on one of those knee scooters with a cast and all that, and we had to do a show of all places at the Ryman during that time, and it couldn't be a more difficult place to get around than the Ryman on a bad wheel. So no fun. But you think about those things nowadays, but not when we were young, like when you were at the Justin Moore concert and you noticed when you were hanging out at front of house during a rain delay and you noticed a very well dressed guy that worked for Justin. You said, "What's that guy do?" And Corey says, "That's our tour manager."
Yep, that's what happened, and it was just like, I don't know, it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. That I'm gonna try to do that. I think I could do that.
Because
And I
like
just
most of
knew-
us before that, you only think they're the people on the stage. That's all there is. You don't think
No,
about
yeah, you don't even. Most people don't even think it. They just think the concert happens, and you come to town, and the band comes on stage and plays, and that's it. Everybody on backstage just leaves like we do, and it's like you don't think about where the gear comes from or anything that it takes to go into it.
lots
And I
of
didn't even
jobs.
know what a tour manager did, but it looked like he was in charge of everything. So I was like, that seems exciting. Like he was doing something, He
Yeah.
had something to do rather than just sit around. So yeah, I ended up, I knew two people in Nashville, and I think that was probably like July because it was a county fair. And I don't know if it was a year later because I moved in September of 2014 to Nashville.
Okay.
And then I got a job on Keith Anderson's tour selling merch. And I
Love
did that
Keith.
for like, oh yeah, he's such a great guy.
Oh,
Has
great.
some
There's
great
another one.
songs, too.
Yeah, and he's been kicking
Yeah.
butt for a long time, chopping wood. Great artist.
Yeah. So I worked for him for a couple months, and then Craig Wayne Boyd won the show The Voice.
Yep.
And so I worked for him for a year and a half, and that's where I learned to tune guitars, and I sold merch for him as well, and just learned the road for a year and a half. And then I met Luke in July of 2016. I was working at Boot Barn at Opry Mills Mall, and him and his manager came in that Luke had lost a bet to him and had to buy him a pair of boots, so that's why they came in that day. And I just happened to be there. Like I was supposed to work at 3 and came in at 2 by accident because I had 3 jobs. I had a road job, a job at a tree nursery, and then the boot store. So my schedule was chaos.
Right.
And I didn't, when you have 3 jobs, you don't really care about any of them.
Exactly.
So most of the time I was late to work, if anything, at that job, but it was just a retail job. And got to talking to them when they came in and knew who they were because Luke had kind of had a buzz around town at that point and asked if they needed a tour manager or if they had one. They're like, no, but we're going to need one soon because my manager Cappy needs to come off the road, and focus more on the office stuff. And it was a month later they kind of gave me the keys to the tour, and that was August of 2016.
Wow. Right there. So you've been there through the whole rise.
Oh yeah, we were in a Sprinter van when I started.
Wow. That's
So
awesome.
I drove it a few times, and there's still pictures of me texting and driving from 2016. But I think the statute of limitations has probably run out on that.
I think so.
They were feared for their lives. We were going like 85, and who knows?
Hey, you
I
got
probably told them it's in advance. It's for the show.
Yeah. You got what you have to sometimes. It's just part of it. Don't you hate it every now and then when you get a runner? I've had a few over the years. You get a runner and they say, I can't text and drive. I'm like, well, you got to answer these. You got to look and see if you need to stop and come back.
I haven't dealt with a runner in years. That's RJ's job.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I got a good memory myself. But yeah, so I want to mention that Craig Wayne Boyd, friend of the family here. He was good friends with Wayne Mills, the first artist I ever worked for. I've known Craig since the Alabama Line days, way back in the 2000s in Nashville. And then, was on the show, all that. Great guy, another road warrior. It's played a lot of shows over the years.
I'm sure we had done shows together. I mean, I remember seeing Justin at maybe Faster Horses when I was out with Craig. You were surely with Justin.
Oh yeah, by
And
then,
that-
I
that
came
would have
on.
been
I was
2015 or so.
I was there. That's Dwight Yoakam played with us, I think, that night.
Yep. Dwight, I got my picture with Dwight Yoakam.
And he was
'Cause I was
pissed
a big
because his gear got wet.
He's pissed all the time, I think.
I know he is.
I'm a huge fan of his music. But
Same. Yeah, I tell people I went and saw him recently. He's something else. Back on his bus or backstage, and definitely looks a lot better in his outfit.
Is the thing. I kind of
Yeah.
wanted him to be like Doyle Hargraves on Sling Blade. I love that movie. And so I was a big fan of the movie. I think I had a Doyle Hargraves t-shirt on, like Construction Company or whatever,
Oh yeah.
So I think, I met him and he couldn't have been any nicer. His tour
Same.
manager was like, yeah, get your picture.
Yeah, same with us. We were on the bus one time out in, I don't know if it was there, out in California one time, and hanging out. He couldn't have been nice. Oh, no, it was this night. This was the time I realized, wow, he was super nice to us, totally cool. We're on the bus hanging out, and but he drilled one of his production guys for the gear getting wet. And backstory on that was we were supposed to close the show, and Dwight was direct support, but Justin was like, Dwight's his number one guy. And we do that. We've done this from time to time. We did it with Charlie Daniels a few times, and Charlie was always like, son, we ready to get home. We'll play our set.
Yeah,
Y'all play
right.
late. We'll go home.
Those guys are like, we don't.
We're ready to
That
go.
is kind of the one thing that sucks about being the headliner is you're the first one there in the morning and you're the last one gone. So on a festival day when you don't have buses, that's a long day.
Long day.
7 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Yes. So, so Justin want me to go tell Dwight's people, let's swap sets because Justin's don't want to open for Dwight. He's like, there's no way I'm open for my hero. Please, if you want to, you're more than welcome to swap sets with us. Of course, Dwight obliged because he wanted that big slot, which, hey, whatever, it's Dwight Yoakam. Well, then we got our set in, and about a couple songs into his, he got rained on. So, yes. So then we're back on the bus. Well, then he's pissed at some of his production team that came on the bus to explain what happened because it was all these vintage boutique amps and gear and stuff. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, why'd you bring a bunch of nice, expensive gear to an outdoor festival in Michigan from California? Why didn't you just leave it in the locker in
100%.
California? And anyway, but I was like, wow. And he just without his outfit on, buddy, he looks like he's like a wizard.
He's an interesting looking character for sure.
Without
the cowboy hat.
But same thing, super nice. But I saw that side, and I was like, well, man, it's kind of your fault if you brought the gear. I mean, it was your call on the gear.
For sure.
But that was that interaction, and so I would have been there for that. Yeah, because I came on. I was John Party's tour manager until we went on tour with Justin spring of 2013, and then worked for John throughout that year. And by the end of that tour, John was taking a break, and I went and started working for Justin. And then the next year, I just kept working for Justin.
That's when John had the long hair, right? That was like Missing You Crazy days.
Yep. We just had a couple songs on the radio, and he really needed a production manager, but we didn't really have the budget to have two of us, and I'm not a production guy. So it worked out. It wasn't the best situation right then because obviously I wanted to stay, and he wanted me to stay, but it was a better opportunity. I mean, right then I had to do what I had to do. And he needed a production manager, so I got a friend of ours, Colin Street, who was our fill-in.
Colin was on tour with Craig several times.
Yes, Colin, Australian
guy.
guy.
Friends. Yeah,
he was our fill-in bass player for our bass player Lee Francis, who's still with John Party. Even back before we knew John Party, Colin was Lee's backup bass player in Southern Holler. So, and he was running production manager for Third and Lindsley at the time. But he was a road guy too. We knew each other. So I thought, man, if I get them a young guy, John and the band are just going to chew them up and spit them out because they're still wild and ready to have a good time. And if I get them a stern, older vet, they're not going to like that at all. So Colin was the perfect fit. He could be TM. They respected him. They knew him. He was just gruff enough, but he was still one of the boys. And he was a hell of a front of house guy, production guy. So I put Colin in my spot. Worked out great for everybody. But that would have been the end of 2013. So I was there for that one. So we were there. We just didn't know it. We could have hung out. We didn't know it.
Yeah, that's wild.
It really
That's just
is.
like Jerry and like Jerry when he was with Josh Turner. We did shows when we were with Craig and shoot, Josh had 4 or 5 of our current crew guys, our merch guy, Luke's guitar tech, our stage manager, and Jerry, and I think our our video guy as well. All
Yep.
5 of them were on that tour and never even spoke to him.
Yep. Same.
Didn't
We've got a
know.
couple like that. Like now, we've Stefan, our guitar player, and Paul, our guitar tech stage manager. They worked for like Easton and Joe and Clay and some of those throughout the years, and we know we did shows together, but we never talked to each other. We didn't know each other then, you know.
Right. Yeah, because you're not going to go. You're just there's not really much opportunity to go talk to the opener's guitar tech or whatever. You know his face and say hi to him at catering, but
Everybody's
even on
doing
a
their
whole
job.
tour.
They're moving. They
Yeah.
different time, different schedules.
Yep. For sure.
Well, so then you get the job with Luke. Y'all start off. What are some of your first gigs y'all are doing? What kind of gigs are you doing when you first kick off with Luke?
We had some gigs like Georgia Theater, Bradley Jordan
Oh
gigs. So we
yes,
played Druid City and Tuscaloosa and Georgia Theater in Athens.
probably Capital City in Milledgeville, Rum Runners in
That
Statesboro.
they might have done those before me. But we did, Coyote Joe's
Yep.
and Blind Horse and those
Yes.
type of venues. And then out west, we were opening for Corey Smith on a tour. We were in our guitar player's dad's toy hauler. Like it was like a bandwagon basically with 7 bunks. And every
Awesome.
bunk was full. It was me
Oh
and the
yeah.
band, Luke, and that was it. I think we had like a photo guy out for a little bit too, and Luke's manager was out some. But it was a lot of small. I'm trying to think of some of the venues that were even on that tour, but I mean, it was like
Who were did
500 cap rooms.
right? Did y'all do? Did y'all jump on a leg of her tour? Or did you get to open for some legends or anything? I know on the way up, a lot of times you'll get thrown on a Shenandoah show or a Diamond
We
Rio
opened
show.
for Tritt a lot. Travis
Tritt.
Tritt was the
There
one.
you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we opened for him. Yeah, we did. The first weekend I ever did with Luke was like smaller half arenas with Travis Tritt and Corey Smith. That was the first run.
And Corey
I think.
Smith, if you're from the South, Corey Smith is a legend. I mean, he
Oh, for
paved the way
sure.
for. He's like our Red Clay version of Red Dirt heroes from out west. He started that kind
Absolutely.
of college country scene, jammy kind of stuff. And then Tritt's still a force of nature. We with Wayne Mills back in the day, we got to open for him a few times, and this was when he had his own label and stuff, and Category 5 and all that, I think is what it was. But man, what a force of nature he is. I heard he can be a handful himself, but as far as show stuff, man, what a talent there. So that's got to be fun for you coming up as a kid. It's probably called and requested Travis Tritt songs back when you were a
Oh yeah,
kid.
absolutely. Yeah, Travis Tritt has so many hits. And
Yeah,
we saw him at our county fair growing up. And then you're
right.
on tour with him and you're in an arena.
Yeah, the
So
real
yeah,
deal.
it was pretty awesome. But like you said, I mean, we got to open for Dwight several times and I was with Craig, so that was awesome. We definitely opened for Charlie Daniels at least one time. That was like somewhere in Virginia at like a racetrack or something. It's
He was
funny
the
how much you
best.
can remember about like the shows
I know.
from way back. I
Yeah,
remember playing at this city at this time and all the then you have people who open for you who end up blowing up. Like I remember Old Dominion opened for Craig several times and then, they've won duo of the year 5 or 6 times probably now.
right.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's just
well,
wild.
yeah,
And we
that's
and
like
with Luke, we opened for everyone.
yeah.
I mean, we opened for first tour was Brantley and Tucker Bethard. I don't remember. I think it was just us 3. And then Aldine, Tyler Farr, and Luke and Lauren Elena. I think we were second of 4 on that tour. So
Georgia
I
tour.
don't think Tucker or Tyler. I mean, I like both of their music, but I don't think either of them have a record deal anymore.
I know. Yeah,
It's
I
just
know.
wild.
It is wild. Tucker had all that stuff with his family and his brother. That's some wild stuff. Still writing though, and I think Tyler the same. I know he gigs some, and still a big writer and does his
Tyler's
stuff.
one of the funniest people ever. Me and
Absolutely.
Luke went and dove hunted at his house one year. It was super fun.
Yeah,
Super fun.
he's something else. He's funny as hell. His old. It was always fun. I was friends with his old guitar player Gary Jammerman with the mohawk.
Oh yeah.
I saw Gary. I'm so glad you're in country music. We need it. We need one of you. We don't need everybody like you, but we need one of you in country music.
Yeah,
You know?
Brantley has a guy, his drummer, I think, is like that, and one of maybe Morgan's guitar players is a Mohawk guy too. So there's a
I
few of them
love it.
out there.
Yeah, but that's kind of the way it goes, you know. And that's the same way with us when I was with John Party. We opened for everybody. We did Dirk's tours. We did a bunch of Eric tours. Brantley, we opened for Brantley, opening for Eric on a lot of those tours. Just everybody, and you don't get on a real tour. You're not on the whole thing where you get to relax and get in a zone. You're just like you're the fill in for one weekend or one show here or something like that. And then when I got with Justin, we were kind of mixing it up. It's kind of like we still do now. We'll headline some, and then we'll go open for somebody if it makes sense and things like that. So that was, and that was the best because like, and well, I'll say this too. The first weekend I ever worked for Justin, we were just doing 2 club dates, but it was unique. It was like we did Coyote Joe's in Charlotte, but they did an outdoor stage for like their anniversary or something. It was in the parking lot.
That's probably better because that place gets like 150 degrees in the
Yes, it's
summertime in
much
there.
better.
We
I
did
actually
like
never had to play in with the band inside of there. The only time we've done it, we've either done radio shows or that parking lot thing. But our open, and then we played the Blind Horse the next night, which is a bigger club, still as hot, but we did the actual club that night. And our opening act both nights was Chris Stapleton on one bus.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
but
crazy.
we knew how badass he was because we knew him from town. He went to high
Yeah,
school with Roger.
everybody knew about him.
So we were sitting
He
there on
was
side stage every night watching because we're like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, he was a household name in 2012 in Nashville,
Yeah,
from the Steel
Johnson
Drivers or whatever.
Brothers, all that. Yeah, unbelievable. So but on the tour with John, it was John, Dustin Lynch, then Justin. John and Dustin are doing pretty good, and then it was Thomas Rhett. Now just a string of those, and you love to watch them. Hell, Kojo. I mean, it was 7 years ago we were doing that, and now Kojo's up for Entertainer of the Year, and presenting the award shows and stuff. Hell, they wouldn't even let Texas people on TV 10 years ago. So
Right.
it's crazy how it changes, but it's awesome. If you're a fan of the music like us, it's not competition. It's just, I love everything about it. I'm like Tracy when he talks about, I love everything, the backstage, the front stage, how the shows work, the buildings, the grounds, the rodeos. I love every aspect of it. I love seeing people I hate seeing people struggle. That's why I try to, anytime I ever get a shot to give anybody an advice, I was just like, play it straight, stay clean. You don't need something to train wreck you. Be smart. Don't
Absolutely.
get
And I'm
a
I'm
driver.
like you. If somebody wants help, I'm always willing to go have coffee with them and let them ask me a million questions.
Yep.
Got to pass it on to the next generation of people who are going to do it after us.
Yeah, absolutely. And because no one helped me, I would have benefited so much had I had some help early on. And then I ended up having a few good mentors, starting out with some of those Texas tour managers, Monty Palady with Jason Bolin and Ricky Torres with Wade Bowen, some of those guys and then I would just watch the other ones because I was so young too. Hell, I was like 23, 24. I didn't know how to talk to nobody. I never left
Yeah, I was
Alabama until
21
today.
when
Yeah.
I moved to town.
So you're kind of, you don't really know what to do anyway. So you just kind of watch and learn. And then hopefully you meet somebody, and then you meet some people like Todd Bunch with Eric Church, or Jeff Gossett with Brantley then, or
Oh, Jeff's the best.
yes, the best, and he got a good gig these days. Brent
Yeah, for
Long
sure.
with Brad Paisley. The list goes on and on. Just great people that don't mind and that showing you and telling you stuff. And now we've got a WhatsApp group with everything you could possibly need to know on it.
There's like 150 people in there.
It's insane.
At least.
Good. Shout out Mark Oglesby for putting that together because that is a great idea. And if I'd have had that, any information you need, I was dropping Justin off the Denver airport and I was like, well, it says on the sheet this. I said, let me go to the group and see. I know they'll know. And I didn't get it typed and sent good enough. Boom. Yep. Totally. Drop it level 6. I live here. Do it every day. Thank you. It's
That's great.
it's amazing. So that's where you
And
pass it down. And I'm the same way. Yeah. Pass it down.
it's crazy to hear from guys like Jerry when back in the day, 30 years ago before Master Tour, which is, for those who don't know, the app we use for our schedules so everybody on the tour knows when everything's happening. But, he would have to print the day sheets off and put them under people's doors and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
to call home to your wife, you had to go to a payphone or, find a phone somewhere, and you might talk once a weekend. Now we just text anybody anytime we want, and everybody's got instant access to the schedule. When it changes, it lets them know, and it's just I mean, we are definitely touring in the best time for our role for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because even when I started, it was that way. Everybody didn't have a phone. You had to pull over and use a pay. And if you didn't, everywhere didn't have service. You had to call a pay phone to call the bar to make sure someone was there. Things like that.
Oh
And when you
yeah,
had to
we
have
changed
direct
it. You know how it is now. You change stuff all the time,
all the
whether
time,
it's this dressing room is now going to be this and from little stuff like that to hey, the hotel's a hellhole, so we're switching hotels and this is the new hotel. Like you would just have to tell every person, find them
every
and tell,
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just
and you know,
it's a
and changing
way
times for
convenient.
stuff throughout the day, all that. Yeah, because I'm back in the day, we had to print out MapQuest directions and put them in the atlas to find the place because we didn't have a GPS, and then when you get there, like you said, you can have everybody who knows where everything's at. There's a map of the place. Click the attachment. I mean, I haven't tried the day sheets yet. I know some people, there's the debate whether the day sheets is the newer version of Master Tour or a different version, but hadn't got into that yet.
Yeah, there's like three or four of them, I think.
Yeah, but Master Tour I've got my people trained on Master Tour. And I've got Justin to where he knows to look for meet and greet time on Master Tour. I ain't changing shit.
No, exactly. Keep it the way it is.
He's still gonna be 5-10 minutes late no matter what, but I'm still not changing anything.
If
Right.
it works for the artist, everyone else can adapt.
Yeah, pretty much. But that, yeah, I mean, it's come a long ways. You think about even the way we tour in buses and stuff. That didn't start until like the 70s and 80s, and you hear these people talk about the buses back. They didn't have heat, didn't have air. I mean,
No, wasn't it George Jones who shot the holes through the bottom of his bus floor because he didn't have AC? He wanted some airflow in there or
yeah,
something.
yeah, that's how it was. I mean, it was, and you can imagine how hot it would get at some of these shows parked with no shade at a festival in Arizona.
Oh,
Don't you
heck
know?
no.
Or cold
Yeah.
and off somewhere, but so yeah, we're definitely lucky in that respect. But it keeps you accountable too. There's no room for error in the way
No,
we're at now.
absolutely. Yeah, there's no excuses because there's way too many ways to do things the easy way.
You can't just say, "Well, I didn't get that message. The hotel didn't deliver that message." It's like, no, you got a text, an email, an airdrop or whatever. Well, that's cool, man. That's interesting. I didn't know that part of the journey. I knew you'd been with Luke since he really got kicked off, but I didn't know you had had the prior work to that and how you saw Joey at a Justin show, and that's what kicked it all off. I can't wait to tell Joey that. Hoping to have him on the podcast
I think
soon.
he does know that.
Okay.
I think I've told Joey that story.
I love it. Well, Troy, how about you? Let's go to a different route to Music City. How did you come about going and thinking you wanted to get in the music business? I know you didn't start when which one of you's younger and older brother and how much?
I'm older by 2 years and 2 months.
2 years. So you're coming up. You see brother, you're still in Missouri. Brother's off in Nashville.
Yeah, and me and my girlfriend moved to Texas because we just needed to get out of the house. So I was working, we both worked for a municipality. So I was working in the parks department. So I was mowing grass and setting up baseball fields and different stuff like that. And our dad did that. So that's why we saw dad work for the city. So we're like, well, we should do that.
That's usually how it happens in a small town.
We knew it wasn't for both of us what we wanted to do forever, but it was good for right out of high school.
And you knew how
And
it worked. You'd watch your dad do it. You knew the routine.
yeah, right. And you knew it was like a good job for back home.
Yeah. Could be a lot worse.
And I was always into music, like you said. I listened to your guys' podcast while I was working, so I was interested in the industry, but I never wanted to really do it because I didn't want to be Ethan's brother.
Right.
But
Now he's Ethan's brother.
yeah, that's what I am. So
It's better
it was
better than being Jackson's brother.
yeah, right. And I don't like I have him in my back pocket for stuff to ask, but he would probably even tell you that I kind of just like to learn on my own.
Right.
Like Jackson taught me, like I learned under him,
Right.
but like I just like to figure it out for myself unless it's something like I'm really in a pinch or in a bind, then I would ask him, but
Yeah, well, and
I just
that's a good thing too because each artist is different, so it doesn't necessarily translate. A lot of times, I've said this too with hiring band or crew or somebody for a role. sometimes it's better if they don't have much experience because they don't have bad habits, because you could go from gig to gig and they all are so different. You just really need to be the best tour manager. There is no world's greatest tour managers. Whoever's best for that artist at that time, it's because they're so specific to what needs to get accomplished. Some of the logistical stuff of how do you do this, where would you stay here, some of that matters, but artist specific things, there's really no way to learn it until you're just in the meat of it and figuring it out.
Yeah, and I remember hearing that, like with Jackson, he would say like, well, we don't necessarily want a guy that would say, well, this is how we did it on our last tour. Well, I wasn't coming from a tour, so I was never going to say that.
Right.
I would just learn and roll with it and do it the way they wanted it. So
yeah, that makes sense. And so how did the connection there happen with Kojo? So y'all were in Texas when this went down?
yeah, I moved to Texas, and those Texas guys, I guess, kind of like Nashville, like you don't want to fly someone, or you got to get on the bus somehow. We were still busing then, so I was north of Dallas, and I could get on for bus call. And Ethan, I think, was doing the leg work. Like, I didn't have a job. I just moved down there without a plan. So he's like, well, my brother needs a job, and you guys open for us, and I know you, and I know you take care of him. And I think Jackson was kind of ready to take on less of a role. And Ethan just kept telling him, like, my brother's available. He'd do it if you guys want. And Jackson called me one day, and we went out to dinner. And ever since then, I started as the assistant tour manager and then took over for him last year.
So when did you come on as assistant tour manager?
It would have been 3 years ago. I've been with him 3 years. I was assistant TM for 1 year, and now I've been tour manager for 2.
I mean, you can't ask for a dream scenario better than that right there. I mean,
and it was right when Till You Can't was at the top of the world. So I was like, yeah, I guess if I'm going to work for somebody, it would be this.
Yeah,
guy.
I work for him.
It's like this music business thing is pretty simple.
Yeah, this
just
is
to get right to the top.
Yeah, I don't see
You
what
just
everybody's
hop on a
complaining
gig
about. I don't see what 10-year
you're
town.
on a
I don't
bus
get it.
and got AC and Xbox whenever you want it, and hit songs on the radio. It's great.
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, unless George Strait calls, I guess I'll take this gig,
Right. Calls the guy with no experience.
Yeah, right. Well, that's awesome. Well, and like I said, that makes total sense. You don't want to get somebody in that's like, this is how we did this. Is that they basically got you trained up for exactly what they needed to get done, and that makes a lot of sense. Smart on their end, and worked great for you. But it goes to know your brother knew your work ethic and knew you were capable of doing it, and he knew you were trustworthy and all that. Knew your character, so he knew you were adaptable, and you proved him right. I love it. I wish I could work with my brother in the same business and get to do stuff together. I miss him on that kind of stuff. He does insurance, and I don't want to do insurance. So,
Yeah, this is a lot better than insurance,
yeah,
in my opinion.
Maybe one day when I retire, I can do some insurance or something.
Yeah, we shortly after he joined Kojo, we did a tour in Australia together in 2023. So that was super fun.
Yeah, you
Dream
couldn't
come
beat
true.
that.
Yeah, dream come true.
Yeah. We're over there golfing in Australia, on a day off.
I know your folks were proud too, buddy. Like, look at our boys. Look at them.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you don't want them on the podcast.
They'd come to every show everywhere, I think, if they were allowed.
if we
Really?
didn't tell them no.
That's great. Yeah, my mom has come to some over the years, but she's like me. She likes to party, and it's kind of like I'm like, all right, we'll pick and choose our battles here. And then my dad likes to party way too much, so he ain't coming. He ain't been to no show since the band days.
Oh, yeah. You got to worry about our dad getting in the dressing room with the opener and taking selfies and stuff like that. He wants to be in the mix. He don't want to be a commoner. He wants to be access to
Parking.
yeah, parking or speakeasy access, or
Oh yeah,
he wants the free refreshments and all the frills.
the whole experience. Hell yeah, I don't blame
Yeah.
him. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
if you put mom side stage for a song or two, she's thrilled,
Right.
or in the pit.
Right.
Thankfully, they don't drink, so you don't have to worry about that.
That
but
helps. That helps.
It might be even worse if they act out when they're sober. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it can go either way. It's like I say, people talk about artists and people in general. It's like, oh, everybody's got their hang-ups. It's one thing or another. Everybody's unique and different. Well, man, that's interesting. So that worked to a full circle moment there. Y'all both were listening to music together growing up. calling in the radio station trying to get a song requested so you can record it on tape. Both love music. Slightly older brother says, man, maybe I should try this. Let me go to Nashville. Boom, boom, boom. Gets in the business. Met a band out. Hey, they need a tour manager. Saying, hell, my brother's available. He's just cutting grass listening to JR and JM on the podcast. He goes and meets Jackson. Boom, they go on. They start. Boom, you're both on a world tour together in Australia. I mean, that's amazing. And then fast forward to where you guys, both of your artists have just been really humping it the last few years. And with family and everything else, get to a position where Luke's taking a lighter schedule this year. Kojo's got a unique schedule this year with all the stuff he's got going on, like I mentioned, the award shows and all the other stuff. So that lets you both be at home at the same time a couple of days before, on the July 1st, actually, if anybody wants to know. Happy 4th of July, everybody. This will come out this weekend. It should be right around the 4th, but today is July 1st as we're recording this. But how cool is that you guys both get to be home? You're not on a tour together, or you're not off somewhere way away from each other, and you actually get to.
Yeah, and you'll be here for the 4th, won't you?
Yep.
Yeah, how crazy. We're both in touring for two of the biggest artists, and it's July 4th. How many July 4th events have we played,
Exactly.
From Red, White, and Boom to everything in between. We played the Capitol one year on July 4th, so.
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome. A lot of golf happening, a lot of fishing. Frog season just opened, so we'll be doing some of that too.
Love it.
But yeah, it's great. It's like we both moved away and got these jobs, and now we're like, okay, we're back home. I think that's why I like Justin so much, is because he moved away, kind of made it, and then just went back home to be with his family.
Yeah,
I always thought that was so cool.
Yeah, and and it's probably taking him out of the conversation for some stuff because he's not in town like everybody is, but. In the long run, it'll pay off because he was there with his kids for everything, and they got to grow up a normal life at same high school, elementary school he went to. His oldest.
Well, it's just like you, not living in Nashville. You miss out on opportunities to
Yep.
Network with all those people in the group text or whatever it is. But gosh, it's worth it to just be home with family. To me,
it really is. And and I don't even have my family right here where I live. It's just me and my wife, but. I did Nashville for 15 years. It was great. I just wanted a different pace and a different scenery and trying to just thinking about the next step down the road, and Nashville just got so crazy. I mean, it sped up and sped up. And I thought, well, if it stops now, and by the time I left in 2016, I thought surely, and it still hasn't stopped.
No, I was there 2014 to 2020, basically. And I mean, I'm still there all the time,
right.
But I don't want to live there. I mean, anybody who is there, good for them, but they can have it. I don't want that traffic.
No,
it's chaos now, man. It's not like Tootsie's and, Tootsie's is still there. What was the one in Printer's Alley, that bar? In
Fiddle and Steel.
Fiddle and Steel. That was still there when I was there.
Yep.
But a lot of those places have closed.
Wild Horse, all
iconic
that.
Places. Yeah. Shoot, Wild Horse is Luke's bar now.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
I still always thought that was the best place down there. It's so big dance floor,
and it had that vibe too with the balcony. It just felt like a old school.
They kept the design the same, and they still have the horses and stuff in there.
Good.
Like they definitely did not change it that much. They have a rooftop bar now, but yeah, it's good. Everyone should go check it out.
Yeah, definitely should. Yeah, and I said that before too. People can't even fathom this now, but back in the day, you could go down to Broadway and park in front of one of the bars, and if it was a random night, whether for whatever reason, it might just kind of be dead. Like, there would be people drinking and stuff, but it wasn't packed, and it was like you could just walk around the street, and it was just kind of a dead night, and I don't think that exists anymore.
No, it doesn't. I've never been down there in the last probably 10 years, and it's not just loaded with people all the time.
And
I mean, it'll be it's like 5 p.m. to, I mean, it don't matter.
Yeah, we were there at 10 a.m. We had to do some press stuff several months ago. We came in town and had to be down there at one of the bars to do a radio spot at like 10 a.m. So car service pulls up, drops off at the front. We're like, what is going on? Is there something happening? And they were just like, no, it's just regular. I'm like, it's 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, and it's like midnight in Las Vegas or something down here.
It's like the new Vegas, really.
It really is.
That's where people go, bachelorette parties all the time. All the time. That's where they go. People from here especially, because it's, a 45-minute plane ride or a 5-hour drive. So
I feel like
a
it's
lot better than Vegas.
taken over a lot of stuff that New Orleans used to get too, because New Orleans hadn't quite kept up with the infrastructure and the newer, nicer stuff like Nashville has. New stadiums, new arenas, a lot of money.
Yeah, Nashville's building that new football stadium.
They're going to have Super Bowls. They're going to have WrestleManias. They're going to have all the big stuff. I mean, it's a big, big town. And when I first moved there in end of 02, 03, I told all my friends, I was like, y'all, it's like Atlanta without the traffic. I said, you can order sushi at midnight. You can go to a concert any day of the week, but it's just chill, and then –
Not anymore.
You could get from one side. You can get from Mount Juliet to Whites Creek in 30 minutes tops. You can get anywhere in town 30 minutes tops. And now that's just, you never know when you'll get in gridlock.
No, it could be like 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. and you almost have to take Briley around town
everywhere
at this point.
And I can just remember being down at the studios back in the early 2000s and just walking down Music Row and just kind of just walking around town, and it was just different. It felt like what you thought Nashville was in the videos you'd seen, the old school, the Opry and the Opryland type vibe. Just a lot smaller, a lot more small town feel, a lot more country feel, a lot older houses, older buildings. And as y'all know, like most of those old cool houses all got demolished. I mean, there's some still around.
Yeah, now they just build those tall skinnies next to each other.
There was one right near
right next to each other.
Right across from like Red Door and the Embassy Suites. That's where I normally stay when we come to town. In Midtown there was an old house there, and they were trying to save it. And I remember I was staying and looked out the window, and they were pushing the trees over, and they had demolished it. Now there's a big, huge new hotel there. And I'm like, man, and that house was probably from, 1890, or it was a big old cool house.
Yeah.
And you just can't get that back is my thing. I get we got to grow, but man, some of this stuff you got to save because, tear down the old Walmart from 1986. We don't need that anymore. But a historic home that has God knows what kind of history from the turn of the century, let's try to save that. Why don't we? Can't we build the hotel behind it or something? But
Agreed. I agree. It's like Dollar Generals in every town now.
Everywhere. They even got one in Justinstown. It's like
I know. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Judd song. They call it Progress, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
And
right.
like you said about
little places go out of business.
Yeah, and it puts everything else out. Puts the mom and pop's little convenient deal out. Well, it's like you said about Justin. I thought about this. I don't know of any other country artist that lives the song "Country Boy Can't Survive" more than JM. He literally lives on a dirt road still. He got a nice house and a pool and all that. Ain't no doubt about that. He's as a country star that's played thousands of shows, sold millions of records, should have.
Right.
But he still lives on a county road in Grant County, Arkansas, and his parents live across the pasture. And it's, who does he live on this dirt road with? Just a woman and the kids and the dogs and me. That's who he lives with. He's got a pond. He's got a shotgun, a 4-wheel drive. He's got He's got 2 tractors, one that works in the barn and one that's currently broke down. And he's just kind of pushed it around the trees for now till we.
Everybody has one of those
till we can get it fixed. So, and he's like low key outlaw, because he's not very talkative on stuff. He doesn't do a lot of socials and stuff, but he's like low-key outlaw as hell. He's drunk all the time and, singing rowdy songs and says whatever the hell he wants to say and doesn't care what anybody says or what anybody thinks he should do. He don't really give a crap. He just doesn't go on stage with a bottle of whiskey or nothing. But, we live the gimmick,
Yeah, I'm sure he did 20 years ago maybe. But
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
it
yeah,
hurts
for
too
sure.
bad now.
Now we've got it streamlined to exactly what we need for what, but we're still rocking and rolling. And so I was thinking about that the night when Joe Nichols was playing that song. I was like, what country, and no knock on none of them, but what country artist currently that's still having hits is living as a life like a country boy can survive more than JM? I was like, no one else lives in a town of 300 people. I don't know anybody that lives in a town of 300 people. They might live out in Mount Juliet or down in Franklin or something, but not a town in Arkansas of 300 people, And and I think that keeps him honest, and keeps his perspective on stuff. He's still, because he doesn't have social media either. We have to show him stuff if we want him to see it, because he would argue with. He's so adamant about Arkansas sports that he would argue with other fans from other teams and like take it way too far. They could say your song sucks. He didn't care. But if he said, Kentucky's better at basketball than Arkansas, he's going to be like, well, last year we got you 5 years ago with it. I mean, and it's like he's arguing with some 12-year-old kid that and it's like, all right, no more Twitter for you, buddy. So he's just living in that world. Country boy can survive. And
I feel like it keeps him relatable though too.
Yeah.
When you go live in Nashville, I feel like it's so easy to get out of touch with like what got you there, That's why it's just so nice to be back here and hanging out with the same type of people you've always hung at, same friends we had in high school,
Right. Well, and because
Live right up the
Nashville
road.
changed, Nashville used to be that sprawling thing where people lived out in, Donaldson or Madison, and you had big yards and everybody was set. But then it's just you can't have that anymore. When I'm sure it was that way in L.A. and stuff before the tourist thing, and people could just relax. And then you can't. Then you got to then you got to have a gate and private, because you can't live. You can't be like. You can't be like Webb Pierce and invite people over to your house to take a look at your house, charge $1 to come in your neighborhood so everybody can look at your house of a famous star. He used to do that till that's why we have the guitar shaped pool in downtown Nashville by the roundabout there. There's a guitar shaped pool at that hotel. What's it called? The Spence Manor. That's where the guitar shaped pool is. The reason it's there is I think it was Webb Pierce. I'm pretty sure I'm telling that right. But Webb Pierce lived down in Franklin. So before there was all these museums and stuff, he would let people come to his house in his neighborhood and drive in and look at his stuff and his cars and thing. And he had a guitar shaped pool like that at his house. For $1, you could come look at his guitar shaped pool in his house. Well,
that's a pretty good deal.
Pretty good deal. And this is like, this is back in the 60s. And so, it had to be 60s. Early 70s, but his neighbors obviously didn't like that, and they petitioned the mayor, said he can't do that. So that's when he went and built the pool downtown, and that was the place they could go look at. And I think he charged them $1 to come down. You could swim there and all that kind of stuff. But that's how we got.
Justin could do like a summer pool pass. Maybe with inflation, it'd be like $10. Come by and ride around on his tractor or whatever. Do a little work, get in the pool.
Not a bad idea. Yeah, I need to run that by him. He's
a little out of people's way, maybe, but
Yeah, we have we'll have some characters show up if they come from the neighborhood around there, buddy. Sure. We'll have some characters show. Everybody from southern Missouri and central Arkansas, North Mississippi.
You can be the doorman. You can kind of determine who comes in.
Right. Oh, that's good stuff. Bring your own Zebco 33. You can fish in the pond.
Right. Yeah. Right. We're not providing the tackle, but
no.
You're welcome to fish.
Yeah, talking about.
Release.
Yeah, catch and release only. Talking about, I mentioned earlier, it's July 1st. Do y'all know that today, in 1954, in Ashland, Kentucky, was born one Mr. Keith Whitley.
Really?
Wow.
Yep, born in 54, passed May 9th, 1989. That booze, I tell you, and I've drank it a lot. And I'm not saying anybody shouldn't if you want to and all that, but be careful, man. It'll sneak up on you, and it's ruined a lot more people than it's helped. I can tell you that. But
he drank more of it than anybody, from what it sounded like.
Yeah, and we were watching. That's how Bon Scott from AC/DC drank so much. Choked on his own puke. I mean, just terrible.
What's your favorite Keith Whitley song?
I mean, obviously all the good ones. Miami is just so cool. But quit as far as rockers though, Quitting Time's good. I like Quitting Time. That's a kind of an obscure Quitting Time.
Yeah.
Down an assembly line. Love getting out. Like I hate working clocking in. I always like that one because it was kind of a rocker. But they're all so good, man. He has such a good catalog. That Miami, just the twist and the turn, the cool, vibey, beachy sound on that. I love that one. Always did.
Yeah, that's our mom's name, so we like that one too.
Of course you do. Very cool. Well, speaking of birthdays, I'm going to do this while we're here. I do a thing called Birthday Number Ones, and it's the number one song on the day you were born. We'll go youngest to oldest. Troy, what's your birthday?
July 31st, 1995.
I was probably drunk July 31st, 1995. I would have been about 15 probably. Probably snuck me a couple of somethings from somebody, had some cigarette butts I scavenged that had a little meat left on the bone. Let's see here. All right. So, good one. This makes so much sense too. These all make so much sense. So, July 31st, 1995. Your parents are coming home. They're your older brother's 2.5. They're trying to coax him into calling the local radio station to request a song.
Because they know it'll get played if the young kid
the smaller the kid, the more chance you got of making it happen. They got the windows rolled down. It's a beautiful day in Missouri. Lon Helton comes on and says the number one song in country music today is, who do you think it was?
Who was big back then?
I'll give you this female artist.
Female artist.
Ooh, yeah, there were some hot female artists back then.
Sir.
Females were on fire in the 90s.
Is that like Leanne Womack's on?
It's not her, but hot in more respects than one. Not that Leanne Womack's not beautiful. She's beautiful. She's a queen. Let me go and say that. We love some Leanne Womack. She's great. But this one,
Shania.
Yes, ding, 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 ding. Do we know what song it was? Big song, probably maybe her biggest song.
Any Man of Mine.
There it was. That's it. July 31st, 1995, number one song in country music.
You can see no phone either. I don't even have my phone, so that was just top of the head.
I know. You guys you're like me. You didn't have to learn how to play a guitar and not get to learn all this stuff. You got to concentrate
I don't know how to
on
play guitar, but I can sing you pretty much any song from the last 30 years in country music.
Not going to be good.
No, it's not gonna be pretty.
I'm the same way, and I'm gonna butcher the words, but you'll get the emotion. I will convey the emotion.
Oh yeah, the cry and the voice.
I'll get the whole. But Sharice, my wife's always like, "Why do you make all these motions when you're singing along with the radio?" I was like, "I'm just trying to get it just right, because if that was me, that's what I'd do. I watch them. That's what they do, man. They make these motions with their face." Well, that's a good one. "Any Man of Mine" is perfect song for you too, because Any Man that's a brother of Ethan is going to go on to be a great tour manager, and it sure worked out for you, buddy.
Thank you.
What's your birthday, big brother?
May 31st, 1993.
May 31st.
We're both 31st.
That's
birthdays.
Unique.
Yep.
My brother and I are both 11s. He's January 11th. I'm September 11th.
Really?
Yep, 4 years apart.
That's pretty cool.
My little brother's awesome too. If next time y'all are down in Tampa or South Florida somewhere, I'll hit y'all up. Y'all let my brother and my little nephew come to a show. Yeah, he's not a huge country guy. He loves it. He likes all kinds of stuff, but my little nephew's fun, and he's just a cool. He's the best. Y'all would fit right in with my little brother. He's the best. All right, let me see here. All right. Oh, get out of here, ad. I use my old MacBook for this stuff, for my auxiliary stuff. Oh, another banger. And I know you've sang this one. All right, so same question. Your parents, no, first time they've ever had to have a baby seat in the car. I mean, this is before you even had to wear a seatbelt. Before it was still legal to not wear a seatbelt. Coming home from the hospital there in Missouri. Beautiful day. I mean, gorgeous day. They're so happy. They finally got a baby. He's in the car. He's all swaddled up.
It's Memorial Day.
Memorial Day weekend. Dad's not having a cold beer, but he's listening to music, talking about drinking on the country radio. And the radio takes a break. They come back on and said, all right, with the number one song this today in country music is, who do you think it was?
Male or female artist?
Male artist. And there's a bunch of good ones during that era.
Yeah, I know.
I'll let you throw one Hail Mary out, then I'll give you a clue that might.
Have we talked about them yet?
Nope.
Okay, their name hasn't come up. Garth?
He had a lot right then. No. This guy's got three names in his name.
Billy Ray Cyrus?
No, both from the same state.
Where's Billy Ray from?
Kentucky.
Okay, I was thinking Tennessee. Kentucky. Who's from Kentucky?
There's a three name. That's a good clue.
Hey, it's ironic that I have two brothers on here, because this guy may or may not had a brother that was also a country music singer.
Oh, this is John Michael Montgomery.
Ding 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 ding. Yes, sir.
What song would that have been? He had a lot of songs.
Yes, he did.
The Grundy County Auction, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking that was not 93 though, because I was thinking of that song.
It's one of his poignant ballad songs.
Oh man.
He was so good, he'd take a pop song and make it country during his era. He was so good. John Michael. Because there was a big, like, one of the songs he did was a big pop song than he did, or vice versa, or they took it and made a pop version out of it. I can't remember which
Yeah,
one it
who
was.
else did that? Chestnut did that with the Aerosmith song, and
Yep.
wasn't it Aerosmith? And then Mark Wills did some too.
Yep. But this was one of his big ballads, and I don't know. I'll go ahead and tell it. I Love the Way You Love Me.
Okay, yep.
There you go, and that's what you're.
That's a good one.
And that was what you were singing. You were already attempting to sing at birth
My first words.
to your parents were, "I love the way you love me, Mom and Dad."
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful, and it makes so much sense. He's got a brother in the business. You got a brother in the business. I mean, these all tie in. It's so crazy how that works.
Absolutely. I think Eddie's coming to one of the local fairs here this week, I think.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I was gonna use as a clue. Wasn't gonna use the brother things. I thought that would give it away, but I was gonna say he has a nephew and child in the business now.
Yep.
Because Walker and Dylan Carmichael.
Two of our openers.
Yeah.
We used Dylan last year. We have Walker this year.
Love it. I love them both. Hadn't done as many shows with Walker, but love that guy. Always get to catch up with him when I see him. And Dylan, I just can't say enough good things about Dylan Carmichael. I just love that guy. I think he's just all the way around good at everything he does. I'm pulling for him as much as anybody.
Yeah, he's had some hot beer and Son of a. I mean, you talk about two
good
amazing
stuff.
songs.
And his new record's really good.
I hadn't listened to it yet. I need to. Me and him
Yeah.
went turkey hunting a couple years ago.
Oh, he's great, man.
We always
And,
try to, but you know how they are at that level. He's like visiting every radio station in the world right now. So
Yeah, busy. He don't get many breaks. I've actually got my buddy Terry Lee Palmer and his wife in town. Terry's a guitar player for John Party, and we started with John together. We were in a band before that together. He's in town now, and he and Dylan are good buddies. His wife and Dylan, they do a lot of stuff together, and I think John actually's co-produced Dylan this record that's out with
he did. Yep.
now with Bart
That's
Butler,
true.
I think. But good stuff. Well, that's neat. So now y'all know, if anyone asks what was the number one song in country music on the day you were born, you both know those answers. Mine was Conway Twitty, I May Never Get to Heaven, but I Once Came Mighty Close.
Oh, that's a good
I
one.
love
How about
Conway.
Yeah, Conway's so good.
Born Harold Lloyd Jenkins.
We're all. I think he died in Missouri, maybe somewhere. Where did he die? He died on a. Was he
Yeah,
on a
plane?
plane?
I think.
It
Maybe
wasn't
so.
a plane crash, though, was it?
I don't think so, no. And he was fairly young, and he did not have his affairs in order, and it was a big mess with his family because, you know, that's where all the big studios over there, the big Christian studios over there in Nashville, that used to all be Twittyville, USA.
Really?
And then he had the kids and the new wife and all that. There's a couple of articles I've read recently. Yeah, it was a big, and that's why I like a lot of the artists. Like, you hear their legacy gets carried on good. And you didn't hear as much out of Conway for years there, right after he passed, like you should have. All the tributes, all the things you should have, because it was
100%.
litigation with the families and I think it ended up like everybody got screwed. Like nobody got the family heirlooms. Everything got liquidated. Pennies on the dollar type thing. Just a terrible deal. And he had a thing before that with Twitty Burgers. He was going to do a restaurant chain that didn't pan out, and there was some stuff or something. But yeah, it's tragic how that ended up with all that, because until George took the reins, Conway led the charts with number ones in country music. I think he had 48 until Strait passed him or something like that.
Yeah, he's iconic.
And was a rockabilly guy. Went to Korea, came back, did country. There you go.
Yeah.
He could have been the Elvis type guy had to go to Korea. You never know.
What was his? Where did he get his name from? Was it like Conway, Arkansas, and Twitty, Texas, or something like that?
Yep, he was Harold Lloyd Jenkins. They wanted to change it up for his country thing when he got back, so they were leaving Conway, going to Twitty, and said, "We'll call you Conway."
It's hard
Twitty.
to think of a countryer name.
Yeah,
you're gonna
they did a
cry
good job.
with one, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be like if you said, like we're gonna name you Dallas Troy, you know,
Right? Yeah.
You know, it's like or Troy Dallas, you know. Which Troy, you should run at some point when you get ready to get off the road. I know you just got kicking, but one day when you get off the road, you should be the mayor of Troy. Troy, the mayor of Troy. That's got to happen.
Okay.
Get some billboards going.
Yes, it makes too much sense. All right, well, I'll get down to the next couple questions I got here. I know you guys got stuff to do. Let's see which one. We'll do this one and then we'll go back to the other ones. Big phone number in your phone. Doesn't have to be the biggest celebrity. Just who of all the numbers, because it's so random how we get phone numbers. You'll have to get this from somebody or give them my number or get it from so-and-so. And you end up with just some random numbers in your phone. And you're like, how do I end up having this person's, like, how do I have Tracy Lawrence's phone number?
Yeah.
Who is someone in you guys' phones that you, when you see it, you're surprised. You're like, why do I, that's crazy. I have their number.
We just had Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback, out in Utah because that's where he's from. So it's fresh in my mind. So I'm going to say Jackson Dart.
See, random. Why would you have the All-American quarterback from Ole Miss number in your phone? But you do.
My random one is probably Ben Roethlisberger, retired Steelers quarterback.
Yes.
Surely he'll be in the Hall of Fame.
He knows Justin's a big fan.
Ben and I talk all the time. He's a big hunter, so
love it.
If I'm out turkey hunting, I'll send him some pictures, and he does the same. But he's actually just become kind of a friend. He's a great guy.
Right? Can he bait a hook?
Oh, I'm sure he can.
Okay,
I'm sure he can.
It's been in question over the years.
There's a rumor.
Troy's a big Steelers fan.
Yeah,
so.
I'm the guy arguing with the 12-year-old on Twitter.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Everyone.
It makes sense.
So just save your beta hook comment because he can definitely do that.
It got nothing from me. It was not that. We'll have to talk to Red Akins wrote that one. We'll have to get the story from Redo. That was a Rhett former girlfriend type situation there.
Is that what the song's about?
I heard it. Yeah, I heard that.
That's the rumor. Is the rumors that Rhett had a friend who was I don't know if she was a cheerleader or something down there, but she was somewhat dating Ben Roethlisberger at the time, and Rhett was talking to her, and he said something. Well, y'all probably end up sticking it out, huh? He's cool, huh? It should work out. And she was like, he probably ain't gonna last. He can't even bait a hook. And so I don't know if
I'm gonna ask him about that.
There's
an article floating around because I've seen it like a whiskey riff or something.
Right. And I don't know if we talked about it on the Justin Moore podcast or if Rhett talked about it on there or what, but yeah, I'd love to find out if he's ever heard that before, and I'd love a video of him actually baiting a hook just so we could put the song to bed, and we'll just know it was just for fun, because they are for fun. It's like, hell, Dean Martin wasn't drunk all the time. I mean, some songs are fun, about that stuff, but you have to have the ideas comes from somewhere. I always said that, like my buddy Wally, Jamie Johnson's road manager, he came up with Jennings and Jones. He's the one that said, oh, man, they'll find your records right there between Jennings and Jones. Jamie wrote the song. Wally got a credit. I was like, you got a third for that? That's awesome. But sometimes, it's just it might not be fact, but it's good for content to write a song. But that would be interesting to know if he knows that and if he's ever heard that before.
I'll send him a text after we get done here.
And I don't think we've ever met, because Justin's a big Steelers fan too, and I don't think we ever met Ben. We've met several players over the years, but I don't think
Ben has a podcast too, doesn't he?
Yep.
Troy would know.
He does like a beer drinking thing. They taste beers and he has guests on, like old players, and they recap the games during the season. So he has his own podcast.
I would drink a beer if Ben Roethlisberger got me on his podcast. I probably would just go ahead and get drunk and just talk all kinds of smack about things and just totally get off of media training. Go scorched earth.
When I met him, I got connected through Duck Hodges, who's Lainey Wilson's, I guess, fiance now.
Yep. Met Duck. I remember when we were out on tour in 2020, she was telling us she met a new guy. He might make it. Same thing. I was like, what's Doug? He played ball. I was like, okay, well, it should work out. And then the tour got interrupted, and I ain't seen her since. But I saw that, and I was like, good. I'm glad that worked out. I don't know him, but I thought, man, hopefully his name's Duck. I know Laney's redneck as hell. I'm like, hopefully this will work out.
Yeah, he's a good. I turkey hunted with him in Idaho a few years ago. He's a good guy, because Laney was on tour with us, so he was out there. So
makes sense.
Me and him teamed up, but. Yeah, Ben came to the show, and I guess we texted before, and I told him Troy was a big Steelers fan, and Troy was on tour with Cody at the time. And right when Ben got there, I mean, he brought like signed cleats, signed jersey, personalized to Troy, and like he was like, what's your brother doing? Let's FaceTime him right now. And of course, they're like in the middle of meet and greet or something. So I'm trying to FaceTime with Ben Roethlisberger to get to Troy, and he can't answer. And so End of the night, show's over, and we're all in the dressing room, and Ben's about to leave, and we're saying goodbye, and he's like, "Try him one more time." And I think he was like in his bunk or something, so he had to like wake up and come into the front
Put
lounge.
clothes on.
Yeah, get dressed so he could FaceTime Ben Roethlisberger before he left. But I just thought, you meet some people and they're not what you expect, but he couldn't have been any nicer. Like to go out of his way. He didn't know me from Adam. I was just a
Right.
guy who was, trying to help him out. That was it. So
That's
just thought
great when it does
that was
work out
cool.
and they go above and beyond expectation. It's really awesome when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And usually it's about what you expect, but when it's more, it's great. When it's less, it's disappointing, but when it's more, it's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause it's like, man, all you had to do was be a decent person. Like it was the bare minimum and you couldn't
I
even do that.
know. I know. And no knock on it because he doesn't have to be anyway to anybody. But Hank Jr., I've been around him a few times over the years, and he's my number one favorite of all time. And he is just a crazy old man, He just is.
100%.
And when he
Yeah.
talks to people, he just looks through me. I mean, I don't exist, but it's fine. It's Hank. I get it, But I'm like, if he would have been like, "Hey, JR, I would have, oh my God, it would have been even better. It would have been so much better if he'd have, here, have my hat, have a cigar, It ain't that, but I still love Bocephus.
Oh yeah, we all do. Dinosaur,
yeah.
I can't believe Dinosaur, not to be a spoiler, but Dinosaur in the Encore is an awesome move.
Yeah. It worked out good just because we wanted to include the two openers on the Encore for this run. And it's one everybody knows it's an easy trade off because it's not fast and it
Yeah,
works
everybody
good.
can sing it.
And it's kind of a here's your signs like, yeah, we're dinosaurs. You think we're dinosaurs, still here rocking, kind of deal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, so we got those. We got the numbers. I got to ask this: have either one of you ever been on a podcast as a guest before?
No, first time for me.
Yeah, I never have.
Love it. I love
People
it. See,
have
that's
asked, but we'll just blow them off. But we'll do JR.
okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know because that's why I want to do it. Everybody needs to. We need people like us need to see and be seen because a lot of this stuff, not be selfish, but a lot of this stuff from the artists, there'll be all kinds of archival stuff on them, but. This is for y'all's kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, for your folks, your aunt that wants to know what you do. And like, well, I can kind of tell you, or just watch this with my buddies. We kind of explain everything. Here it is.
Oh yeah, between us two posting this on Facebook, you're gonna get thousands of views.
I love it. I can't wait. And also show that you can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it and play the game the right way and be respectful and learn and listen and do what you're supposed to do. You can get a job in this business and make a good living. That
If we can do it, us three, who don't know anything about, if we had to be a production team like on a show, it wouldn't get done.
No. But we could get you some hell. We could round up a hell of a team to get it done though.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we would have the dream team.
Dream
And
team.
if you
And
wanted after show food, you'd have the best after show food, and everything would be good on that front. But
absolutely,
your meet and
flights
greet would
be
run like a well-oiled machine.
well-oiled machine. Your TSA number will be attached to your your plane ticket, and you will get early bird check-in. Yes, you will get early bird check-in.
Absolutely.
That's good stuff. So, all right, I got another one here. Favorite touring person or mentor? Who's your favorite person to tour with, have toured with, or who's your favorite mentor over the years that's helped you out? And
Ooh, this one could get us in trouble, couldn't it? Say the wrong person here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to share it on Facebook or anything now.
Oh
I don't
man.
want to break any hearts.
I'm going to list just a few, I guess, because Arla Solbritton was the first person he's now out with Jamie. You know him?
yep. Yeah, we've met once or twice. We know all the same people though.
Yeah.
He's Jamie's tour manager now. Yes.
Yep.
And Wally's
He's the
doing the
first.
more PA for Jamie.
Yep. He's the first person who like gave me the job with Keith Anderson. He's the one who knew Craig. Luke's manager, Cappy. But as far as like on our tour, man, I'm friends with everybody. Obviously RJ, Jerry, Andrew, Zach. Our whole production office is awesome. David Bergman, our photographer, he's a left winger from New York, but he's one of my best friends in the world.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Couldn't be any more polar opposites. But yeah, God, there's so many people you learn from. Jeff Gossett, out with Morgan now, but he was with Brantley. He taught me how to do a meet and greet, when I first started out. So
Yep, I
Yeah.
would say that. Yeah, Jeff and Todd Bunch from Eric Church. I mean, they have to be right up there at the top for me on as far as learning stuff from. And then as far as like touring just a person, I'm the same. There's so many because I love everybody I work with. But Terry, John's guitar player, when he and I were, because we were in the bar bands together and stuff, and he's just he can play and sing it. He's just easy going, and he doesn't ever talk, and I never shut up, so it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I still have friends from every gig I've ever been on. Really, our
Same.
bass player from Keith Anderson, he's in Australia with one of my other friends, and they just sent me a selfie. Jay Cott, who he's out with Hauser,
Randy,
so you would know him.
And that's the way you don't burn
it's-
bridges, and you keep your nose clean. You don't be a jerk, and you stay friends with everybody. The ones that are try to push their weight around and or because of their position, this or that's the people who get talked bad about and can't keep going and can't get a job because you get a bad name. And then we don't have anything to fall back on because we can't push knobs and stuff. It's our personalities and our reputations is all we've got. So we got to keep them clean.
Stunning good looks.
That helps. I mean, that's why we're at the top.
Yep, good looks and personality, baby. That's all it takes.
Get you a long ways. And availability, must be present to win thing. Willing to go do it. That's what I say. People think about, complain about a job, and I know we get a lot of perks with our jobs, but it's still a demanding long, when you're on your own, it's like but we're willing to do whatever, and we get it all done every day. There is no like, well, that's going to go be too long of a day, or no, that's too early, or what. No, there's nothing. It doesn't matter. It's just all got to get done.
Yep.
And it does,
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you don't have, somebody wants to go do this, like, you don't have to go to school. You just need to be a people person and go meet people and just have people skills and go to Nashville and meet the right people and be at the right place and be willing to work for next to nothing. That's what I did for years. That's why I had 3 jobs,
Yep. Yeah, I did it for 10 years.
You don't have to go to a 4-year college and get $100,000 in debt to do it. That's for sure.
No. And you don't even have to go to Nashville. You can go to your local venue, sign on to be a runner, be a backstage assistant.
If you go to the local venue and become a runner, you'll meet every tour that comes through there. And if you're good at it, not because a lot of people aren't good at it, so you would stand out and you might get a job right there.
Yep. Don't talk too much. Kick ass at your job.
Yep.
Be good attitude.
Yep. Respectful, punctual. It's just like any other thing, It's not that hard, and it's not a huge industry,
No, it's a lot smaller than you think it is. It's big, but it's a lot smaller. You get in there, and then like me, I'm better now, but never was punctual. But I'm kind of funny, so I might show up late, but I bring a gift and a joke.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Troy, who were some of your favorite people so far in in your short tenure so far as being a tour manager?
I would say, just because I haven't been around that long, I have to use the Kojo guys: Jackson, Howie, Noe, Brad Garrett. I mean, Brad doesn't live too far from where we live, so we had that in common, and he's taught me a lot of things too. And I would even say you, because you're one of the guys who's been doing it a long time, who, like, when we have openers, it's usually a young kid who you can still learn from, but they don't have the experience that JR does. So
right. I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, it's at least that's the trade-off at the end. Don't have the 401k, but we got the stories and the friendships.
Oh, they're worth way more.
Way more.
People are worth. Yeah, I mean, that's the fun thing about the shows now is you go somewhere and you pretty much have somebody come see you wherever you go. Like me in St. Louis coming to see you. I'm sure that was a super
awesome.
Joy, when I showed up.
Oh, it was, man.
And,
the only thing about it is when you're working, it's tough because you can't spend as much time. It's them days off and in betweens are like same with me. When I came to your show when you played down here a couple years ago, you were like you had a million things to do, but for me it was like great. I get to kind of relax and say hey to everybody.
Which is nice when it's somebody in the industry who comes to visit because you understand. If it's some friend from home, they might be like, hey, we need more drinks, or where are you at right now? And it's like, dude, I'm at work right now.
Well, when Nathan asked me the other day, what you got Ethan down here, what do you want to do for passes? I said, just give them 2 laminates. Hell, they know what to do. I don't want to. They let them do whatever they need to do. Just put them 2 laminates. They can make themselves at home. They know where to be, where not to be. Whatever, and that makes it a lot easier than having to make sure everybody's taken care of. Guests can be one of the biggest. That meet and greets are probably the biggest 2 obstacles we have. Guest ticketing and then meet and greets, obviously getting paid. But that's a unique skill set on its own, how to deal with guests and things like that.
Absolutely.
Well, what is between each one of you, what's your favorite venue or place to play? I know that's a tough one too, but
Yeah, that's another one you're gonna have to list a few,
Some
I
are just
think.
because they're awesome, or is it like sentimental value? For me, I mean, like obviously, the first time I got to do the Ryman, it was before it was early on, did a songwriter thing, but getting to be at the Ryman and my artist is on the stage at the Ryman for me was like, hell, I can quit now,
Yeah,
and
so
then
cool.
going to Madison Square Garden and like, this is where WrestleMania happened. This is where Tyson happened. I'm like, I'm in Madison Square Garden. I'm from
Yeah,
Podunk, Alabama.
every great basketball player ever has played in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, I really like, as far as like smaller venues go, the Museum Club was the first place we played with Craig, and I think we went and played there another time. That's in Flagstaff. I don't know if you've ever been there, but that's a pretty cool looking place, and it's like right
Yeah.
on the edge of the mountains. The Rave in
Yeah.
Milwaukee,
Milwaukee. Yep. That's
epic
neat.
place.
Yep.
Definitely haunted for sure.
Definitely.
But
Definitely some shit went on in that building.
that's one that everyone should go to. I mean, you got to throw Guilford in there.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, that was on my list.
Meriwether Post in Maryland, like outside of
Yep.
DC. That's a
The
good one too.
roundabout thing.
Yep. They got the pool backstage and they got
Yep.
really nice
Yep.
rooms back there.
The Gorge, nothing beats the Gorge.
That's what I've said. Everybody brings up Red Rocks, and I'm like, the only one prettier than Red Rocks is the Gorge, man.
Yeah,
Red Rocks is a nightmare on the production side of
It
things, you know.
really is.
And everybody comes to that. The Gorge is like so inconvenient to get to that, you
makes it
know,
better for
Red
us.
Rocks becomes a destination where everyone from the label and the booking
Yes.
agency and management comes, and you just can't
It's a
really
big
enjoy it.
town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't enjoy it because you're just worried too much about it's always a stressful night there.
Yep. And then the Gorge is you got to basically take a pilgrimage to get out there, so it
Oh
weeds
yeah,
out the week.
we were in we don't take buses anymore. We fly and then just charter bus or take Ubers to the hotel. And we had a crazy charter bus driver out there that was flipping people off and cutting people off and cussing them out. It was insane.
Oh
On
my
the
God.
I texted the company that booked it after, and I was like, "Hey, we're gonna need a different driver on the way back to because it was like 6 a.m. on the way back. You know, we
Yeah, it's like a little conflict of personalities here. We don't
no, yeah,
represent
yeah, for sure.
that way. Yeah, we flew in. I remember one time we left Destin and flew into, golly, whatever the closest FBO is there, and flying over it low and just like you're in the middle of nowhere. Then we fly like between these, basically in like a volcano cavern or something, like a hole in between the mountains to land in this little airport and then ride up there. Yeah, it was neat. But that's a pretty one. And then I still love like Billy Bob's. I love going
Oh,
to do
Billy
Billy
Bob's
Bob's.
is absolutely iconic. Yeah. I've been
You
there
know,
probably 3 times, maybe. Yeah,
yeah.
that's one of the best, one of the very best.
And we
I'm
don't
a
really play
sports guy,
there.
so I like the like Fenway Park and Mile High Stadium. Like
Yeah,
those are two big ones.
We played Bush Stadium like 2 or 3 years ago. And I mean, that's just
that's
like, there's
cool.
something about being at home that's really cool. Like, you've been to,
Yeah,
50 Cardinal games growing up there. And yeah, then you're there and you're the show, it's pretty wild.
pretty wild. Yeah, that'd be like I've never done anything in Tuscaloosa. Like, boy, if we played Bryant Denny or something, but even some of the ones that aren't my team, but playing Rupp Arena, or some of those are cool.
Yeah.
Or uh, um, playing the Denver Nuggets arena, and getting to practice on their practice court, and they give us free
That's
Nuggets
what's so
gear.
cool is, yeah, like playing on like we played on the Pacers practice court. It's like all brick inside there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've
Yep.
played at
Done that
that
one
one. It's
before. Yeah.
kind of like below the ground
Yep.
one.
That was really cool. And then you realize too, boy, that 3-point line in the NBA is way back there.
Oh yeah, you're like shooting from the hip.
Yeah, you're heaving it.
Yeah.
It's a lot farther than it looks. Well, those are all great venues, and I'd employ anyone to get to come out to those if you can. Mount Rushmore of country music. That's a big one there.
So
Mount
is this
Rushmore of
like
country.
my Mount Rushmore, or what I think who are the top artists ever?
Let's do both, because I've said it. There's no way to really do a definitive one because it's just too hard. So it's usually a personal Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
But then we can do a definitive one too and see where it stacks up.
Oh, I think if you're gonna go definitive Mount Rushmore, you got to go George Strait, Garth,
Dolly.
Chesney. Yeah, I guess I should throw a female artist. I just like the
Well,
male artists. I like female artists, but the male artists are, what I relate
yeah.
to. Um,
You got to think as
Yeah, but
far
you
as
got to
big
have
stuff though.
the old ones
Dolly's
in there.
Yeah. Well,
George
you got to think
Jones.
like who is the most like the biggest and done as much for the business, you know. And like I said, Straight definitely he's got the
That's
hits.
why I
He's the
said
king.
those guys because they've all been stadium acts.
Garth, yeah, changed the game. It's too hard to put like Willie, Waylon, Jones, Haggart because I mean, how are you going to thread? You know, how
How are
you
you
going to
going to
split
pick
hairs
one?
with those? Yeah, right. But when it just comes to numbers, then like I said, Dolly because of obviously her writing, her playing, her shows, and the icon of being recognized anywhere in the world, you know. And I almost say that with Willie too, even though he didn't have the hits, but just
Yeah,
being
everywhere we
recognizable.
go, it's like Dolly's been there, in Europe
Oh yeah,
or
well, and because
Australia,
she was,
whatever.
and I've said this before with all these artists, and Garth doesn't really do, but his videos and stuff. But the crossover appeal, being on television, is George Strait without Pure Country? Maybe, but hard to really tell. Once you go from just country fans knowing you are to everybody knows who you are, that's a big leap. Same with Dolly. Is she Dolly without 9 to 5, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, all that stuff? Writing Whitney Houston doing her song and taking it to a whole nother level in the 90s. Even Willie
Yeah,
with all the movies
I
and
think
stuff he was
Dolly
in.
would probably be the fourth one on there, to be honest with you. So I have
And who would be the other
George,
one?
Garth, Kenny, Dolly. Those would be like if as far as what they have done impact
Yeah,
wise for the
right. And there's no way of denying any of those, really. Would you agree, Troy?
Right. I think Alan Jackson could definitely have a head up there.
Yeah. And see, like for me, I say Hank Jr. because of the era when he did it. He won all the big stuff. He was on Monday Night Football all them years. I mean, everyone at a certain age group knows who Hank Jr. is. He just doesn't get in that because he was too rowdy. He doesn't quite get in that category, but I mean,
I feel like
he
you
was
could
five
you almost have to do it for like every decade.
Yeah, era.
every
Like
era.
70s, 80s, 90s, thousands, tens on.
Pretty much, yeah. That would be an easy way to get a lot
It's
more.
so tough. You can't leave anyone out, it's so
I
tough.
know.
And we only
Well, who
know
is
like I listen to older country, but
right?
I
You don't know
would
how
be
big
lying.
their star was and how big their reach
100%.
was.
Yeah, right.
They
We
they
got
could
to
play
see-
somebody to death on classic country radio now that really wasn't that big a star back then.
Absolutely. I mean, Keith Whitley comes to mind. I feel like when he was alive, he wasn't selling out arenas. He was a little
he
bit
hadn't.
bigger after he died, probably. And even
Yeah,
now,
he was on his
I mean,
way.
yeah, people are. He's like popular now. Wallen has a bunch of songs about him.
Yep. Joe Diffie. I mean,
Oh yeah, so
that's
many.
enough.
I mean, unpopular opinion, but I think Singletary is one of the best from that era.
Yeah, I agree.
Vocally,
I vote on
mean,
that.
he was unbelievable.
Songs, the song choice, the songs he did was that in that album he has when he has Eddie Stubbs introing him coming into the
Yeah.
album. I'm like,
It's just Eddie
I mean,
Stubbs. Yep, that's still a little
more
country left.
than that. Yeah, there's still a little country left. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so good. It gives me chills thinking about it.
It's so
Well,
good.
who would be your personal Mount Rushmore of country music?
Oh, okay. So that would be like if I could only listen to four people for the rest of my life.
Yep.
Definitely Justin Moore. Probably Chesney. Maybe Wallen. And probably Kojo. But Justin's definitely number one.
That's awesome. He's gonna love to hear that. He knows you boys are super fans, and I love it. All right, so we got JM, Chesney, Morgan, and Kojo.
That's if I could only listen to four people for the rest of my life.
If I went to a festival, I would be happy that was the lineup. Whichever order it is, I would be pumped if I got a ticket to go to a festival and that was the country festival lineup.
They could sell 1 million tickets to that show, I think.
Good deal, yeah. And I wouldn't care where we got to play. I would hope we would actually be first. We probably would, but I'd hope we'd be first. That way I could hang out. My day's done. Least amount of work on
Yeah,
me.
you'd have to get back on the drinking train, I think, on that night.
Yeah, but if we were headlining, then that would give me a great opportunity to go talk to all these artists a lot and hang with them because I have to relay some information and stuff. So I'd be basically everybody's tour manager for one day.
Right? Yeah.
I made sure to skis in there on the Joe Nichols thing. I don't know if you saw me. I'm his hat guy when he needs his cowboy hat. At a certain point, I about third show in, I was like, ooh, I'm taking that job over. I'll be his hat guy. His guitar tech can do something else. I'll be the hat guy. So I was like, I skied my way in so I can say, hey, I was Joe Nichols' hat guy. True story. 7 shows.
Put it on the
I was Joe
resume.
Nichols' hat guy. But hey, I've been defending my resume for 23 years. I'm adding that to it. Maybe I quit swinging as hard. Troy, who do you have on your personal Mount Rushmore of country music?
Chesney's my all-time favorite. Love his old stuff. Um, I love Conway, and I would throw Luke a bone, Luke Combs, and
Great
then
artist.
Morgan. I don't you can Morgan's undeniably good. All of his songs.
See, I haven't connected. I love Morgan as a person. Obviously, I've known him since he first kicked off. But the music, just I guess I'm too old or something. It just hasn't connected me. But that's even like my hometown guys, the Red Clay Strays. So happy, love those guys, known them forever. So proud of what they're doing. The music just hasn't connected with me yet, and that's not a bad thing because sometimes it's just time and space when it happens. Because there's been artists everybody else is like, I didn't get on the train, and then I'm late to the party, and then I get to love it all over again. You know what I
That's what's
mean?
cool about it. I have friends who like certain artists, and I'm like, I haven't even listened to them because I've seen them, and I'm like, I know what they look like. I'm not gonna like their stuff. It's too weird.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
so many weird like country. They're not really country type artists out today. I just like, give me some Justin Moore, give me Small Town USA, and I'm good.
That's where I'm at. When I like the guys y'all work for, I'm a big fan of both of them, and I'm sure y'all are. Zach Top, thank you for showing up to the party. Big fan of Top. Jake Worthington, yeah, just good. Randall King, just good stuff. I always love when that. Hell, Priscilla Block, she's the real deal. She's done some shows with us lately. There's a lot of them, but there sure is there's some of it you're just like, just it's. I'm sure they're good people and all. It just doesn't link up to what I think should be happening or what I
Yeah,
enjoy.
absolutely.
And then a lot of them just get thrusted out there before they've had the road work to get their craft honed in. You know what I mean? They go from a viral sensation or something to
Yeah,
playing a big
TikTok
show, and
video to selling out arenas. It's crazy now.
there's no way you can know what to do with that if you hadn't had the road work working your way up and
Yeah, there's no
playing
more
some type of
making it
shows.
in, Nashville, going down Music Row and playing songs for people like at the late, like if you're not big on TikTok, they're not signing you.
Yeah,
It's TikTok now.
yeah, it's wild. And who knows? 10 more years, it'll be something else because
And I don't even have a TikTok. So but talk about dinosaur with my iTunes account.
yeah, well, but it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes you don't need keep the noise out kind of thing.
Yeah, you're lucky they don't have CD players in these new cars, or I'd be rocking a CD player. I'd be
Absolutely.
rocking those old burned CDs.
I keep wanting. I got one in my truck specifically. When I got my new truck, I wanted a CD player in there just for that. If I want to play a CD, I want to be able. That's why I keep my old MacBook, my old turn of the century MacBook over here because it still has the CD drive and all the plugins I need. My new one's got 4 USB-Cs. That's it. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I need my stuff on my old one.
We have
Um,
a younger buddy who's like 20, and one of my friends who's almost 40 was talking about the floppy disk, and he's like, I don't even know what that is.
Oregon Trail.
Yeah, he's like, I can't even. I was like, what do you think it looks like? And he couldn't even describe like what a floppy disk would look like. It's
Wow,
like, it's
wow.
wild.
And pushing it in the little thing and clicking it down.
Yeah.
But that was 10 years ago. We were still using CDs.
Oh yeah, right.
10 years before that, it was tapes. So it's like, who knows? And then it was streaming. And people think it's been around for a long time, but all this stuff's still new. There's no telling what it'll
Yeah.
be in just a few
And
more years.
I feel like every one that came out, everyone was like, this is it. This is what
Mm-hmm.
we're going to listen to. We're going to listen to cassettes for the rest of our lives. And then it was
Yep.
10 years, and here come the CD.
Yep.
And
CDs.
then
That's it.
10
That's
years
all
of
we'll
the
need.
CD. And yeah, then, I would still go buy CDs at Walmart, 5 years
Yeah.
ago or so. But now there's nowhere I don't even have a way to play a CD. And I have
Same
thousands of
thing.
CDs. And
Same.
now I
I
have
buy.
thousands of songs on iTunes. And they're like, we're going to get rid of iTunes. And I'm like, what's going to happen to my songs?
I know, right? I paid for all this. I remember one night when I was still buying them. Justin still tells the story. He thinks it's hilarious because there was an option to buy like every Dolly Parton song she had ever recorded for $99, and I was like, yeah, I'm all over that. $100 for every Dolly song.
That's a steal.
No-brainer. It's a steal. That's what I said. I said I feel like they're giving it to me. I feel like I should give them more. And he's like, you're crazy. I was like, but it's every Dolly song for $99. One time I've got them all. I'll never need them again. This is
That's
it.
a bargain. Yep.
bargain.
Until they take them away and turn it into Apple Music or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah, I know. But it's so who knows in 10 more years what it'll be. But we'll do a podcast again in 10 years and recap and go back and watch this one and talk about what all's changed since then.
Absolutely.
Well, man, I appreciate you guys coming on today. I know y'all got other stuff y'all could be doing, need to be doing, but it sure was good to catch up with both of y'all. I know do either one of you do social media very much?
Yeah, we both do. We're not on there like all the time, but we both have Instagram.
Yeah, I don't post a lot, but I'm on there.
We send memes
What
to our friends like everybody else our age.
I love it. What's your Instagram, Troy?
It'd be T, my last name, Strunk 31.
Y'all go check out T Roy there. And Ethan's, yours is Strunk Sock
That's right.
at
And
Strunk Sock.
the industry people will get that joke, I think.
Okay. All right. We'll let that stay out there. Yeah. Yeah, we'll let it stay out there. We'll let it air out and dry out and hope it don't get too crusty. Well, thank you guys for coming on today. It's been an absolute blast. I was so glad you guys did this and agreed to do this today. It was great to see you last week, Ethan. Troy, I hope to see you soon at a show. Hopefully towards the end of the year I'll be off some and I'll get to come to a show. We'll get to catch up.
Yeah, do it for sure. I'd love to see you. Thank you for having us.
Of course, man. Well, y'all go check out the Strunk brothers on socials. Go see them at a show. I know they're not doing a bunch this year, but y'all go find them and come see me sometime too. And we'll see you boys down the road. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, JR.
Have a good week.
All right, guys. See y'all soon. All right. Well, that was the Strunk brothers. How about that? Wasn't that fun? Man, it was good to catch up with them. Two great guys, just good people. And, man, really glad they came on the podcast today. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. Thank you all for tuning in to the podcast every week. Like, rate, subscribe everywhere you can. It sure helps a lot, and we appreciate it. I'm going to read a passage out of my book, Charlie Daniels, Let's All Make the Day Count, The Everyday Wisdom of Charlie Daniels. Then I'm going to get out of here myself. But y'all have a happy 4th of July. Be safe out there. Don't drink and drive, and be careful where you point them fireworks. Number 10. Never let it go. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. I am an impatient person when it comes to getting work finished, but there are times when it's necessary to be patient and put an unfinished project aside and let nature take its course. The old adage, an idea whose time has come, is not only a truism, but very applicable to my creative process. I have held bits and pieces of songs in my head for as long as 14 years, never able to put them together until one day a new thought pops up. I pull out the old snatches of melody or lyrics, and bingo, you've got something happening. I've learned never to discard any good idea, no matter how brief or disjointed it may seem at the time. There will always be a place at some time in the future for a truly good idea. I was sitting on the city bus in El Paso, Texas in 1962 and had an idea for a song about the Mexican bandito Pancho Villa. I liked the idea a lot, but could not ever get past the first couple of verses. Then, in 1976, I began a song about Billy the Kid. I pulled out the verses I had written 14 years before about Pancho Villa, made a few adjustments, and voila, a whole new song was born. Hold on to your dreams, your solid ideas, and be on the lookout for the right time to bring them to fruition. Let's all make the day count.